This episode of Liquor and Literature discusses themes of social injustice, racism, physical abuse, sexual assault, and murder. As hosts, we strive to have fun and educational discussions about the books we cover and do not condone any politically incorrect terms or dated ideology. We strive to discuss these issues in ways that will not alienate or suppress others, but will be covering themes that may not be suitable for children. Also, cuss words are a part of our regular vocabulary and drinks will be had. So keep that in mind if you are sensitive to liquored up loudmouths. Welcome to Liquor and Literature. We are a podcast, a book club, and a happy hour. My name is Lauren.
I'm Amber.
I'm Sam.
That was a creepy one, Sam. I did like it.
Was it creepy or like sexually charged?
Oh,
actually,
I don't need your rubber.
Sam's creepy is actually very on point. So
I
it's
think
not
it
creepy
was
for
creepy
her.
and sexually charged.
Exactly. Yes.
Isn't that what all horror is? It's
What
like
a
kind
good
of
combination.
Kind of.
Yeah. True.
titillating, if you will.
So yeah, if this is your first episode, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. We basically every month pick a book to read, and then we discuss the author. We have a drink pairing, we have a food pairing, and a movie adaptation. And also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Liquor Literature Podcast, because we only release one episode a month, and it's always at the end of the month. So in preparation for the episode release, we post things throughout the month about the book that we're going to cover. So if you want to stay up to date on that, follow us and see what happens. So yeah, also spoilers. We do talk about a book and media adaptation, so there will be spoilers because we discuss a book. And this month was my book pick, and I picked.
She poked a book.
I poked a book.
She poked a bit.
This month was my book pick. I picked The Roundhouse by Louise Erdrich. Actually, the reason why I found this book is because our good friend Elena's mom let me borrow her copy of The Roundhouse a couple years ago, and I blew through it. I really loved it, and I wanted to do it for this podcast, but it does not have a movie adaptation. But I got a little creative and I figured something else out to do for the media adaptation portion. So I just wanted to share this book with you guys because I felt like it was a book that you guys would like, and it deals with a lot of kind of hard issues, but the way that she writes is just so beautiful and like detailed and everything. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just do it. So
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Also, thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thanks, Amy, for introducing me to this amazing author. I've read another one of her books, too. I want to read more when I get the chance, but she's a poet, apparently, too, which I'm sure I figured you might get into that with the author background.
I didn't get heavy into it. Actually, I was just reading my notes and was like, I might have missed some things.
That's okay. You know what? We do the Cliff Notes versions of things.
That's right.
Yep.
So it's okay.
It a little
Cliff
looks
Notes,
like
Spark
I maybe
Notes.
did a half-assed job on my notes this month, guys. Sorry.
It's okay. It's been a long. Well, actually, we were supposed to record this episode last month, and that didn't happen. So
Yeah. And after the last very long authors
Yes.
thing I did, I feel like
Young Werther's episode.
yeah, I'm trying to stick to just like very specific things now. I think I missed a couple of them though, so
That is okay. If you
Oopsie.
want to learn after we do the author background and you're like, hey, I want to learn more about this woman, then go ahead and figure it out on the internet.
Yep.
So, yeah.
internet sleuths unite.
Yes. That's basically what we do with our research. The good old Google machine.
Yes.
So, it's basically a coming of age book of this boy that he is indigenous and he lives on a reservation with his parents. And some drama ensues that we won't get into right now, but basically, it's a coming of age story about a little boy set in 1988. So,
Which was the year I was born in.
I know, same.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a good year for me.
Yeah.
So I was birthed. So
Yeah.
I was already alive.
yes, you're like boring.
Oh, get over yourselves.
Yes.
Just kidding.
So yeah. With that said, Sam, why don't we talk about the drink pairing that you concocted for us this month?
I was impressed.
As per normal, I don't have a name for it because I just thought, oh yeah, you forgot to name this.
Oh shit, that's why you had that look on your face.
So this drink is kind of based off of a fruit and nut kind of drink.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna, I guess, like off the top of my head, I'm just gonna call it the Forager.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, because I mean, most of this stuff, besides the lemons, you could find pretty much in the wild, I guess. So it's a whiskey drink.
It's a vodka drink. It's a
It's a whiskey drink.
It's not a
vodka
it's
drink.
not a
It's
Chumbawamba
just a whiskey drink.
It's not a Chumbawamba song.
It's just a whiskey drink.
It's a whiskey drink. It's vodka.
No, that's
Sorry.
how it's stuck in our head.
Sorry.
Oh my dear.
Just a whiskey drink.
So it is a whiskey drink, but it's also a very it's a very boozy drink.
Yes.
So it's got the flavors of a spiced pear, allspice, black walnuts. So, you know, kind of like that vibe of some, I think there's like cardamom or maybe cinnamon a little bit in the allspice drum I have.
It's very flavorful, for sure.
It is. It's like, it would honestly be a good fall drink.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Yep.
So the whiskey I decided to use it's a pretty kind of pricey whiskey. It's about almost $70. So
Darn.
I went a little crazy this time. You know, it happens, but
You do what you gotta do.
it's for the cast, right? So I chose Mythology whiskey. It's out of Colorado, and they do small batches. This one's called Hell Bear, and it's a blend of straight rye and bourbon whiskey. So it's an American whiskey blend. It actually apparently won the World Spirits Competition in 2020. It's got double gold. How fancy. That's probably why it's so expensive.
Well, do you know where in Colorado? Put you on the spot.
Denver.
Sorry.
So it's called Hell Bear because there's like a little mythology tale, and actually each one has one that goes along with its name. So this one says, and this is on the bottle, so you can read this yourself. I actually really like the bottle itself.
Yeah, I like the label too.
Yeah, the
It's
label
really cool. And the bottle shape is
yeah,
cool.
it's-
Yeah,
everything about it is like very, very nice.
Also, I thought that was a badger.
It kind of is.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, sorry. Oopsies.
So it says, past a field of wildflowers, a Colorado prospector ventured into darkness. In the mine, he heard a loud snap. Then he was falling. In a daze, in pitch black, he woke face to face with a unique creature. Part bear, part badger.
Oh, that's a weird combination.
Right? And
Feisty
make me
combination.
pee my pants scared.
Yeah, they would definitely fuck you up in the woods.
Rain, either one of those I would not want to meet.
Yeah.
Resolved that today wouldn't be his last, he rose and followed the glow of the creature's eyes. The hell bear guided the explorer to the surface and then vanished back into the mine. And they said, inspired by the spirit of hell bear, we crafted a blend of straight rye whiskey and straight bourbon that's sharp enough to bite through your favorite cocktail, but smooth enough to be enjoyed neat.
Even the weak-tongued bitch likes this.
Yeah,
like,
which
it's-
is shocking.
It's a pretty good one.
Shocking.
So let me just give you a little rundown of the recipe.
Please do.
So this is all just going to go into a mixing glass with ice, and we're just going to stir this bitch because I didn't feel like shaking.
Stir this bitch.
And honestly, whiskey is typically like a stirred kind of spirit anyway.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know.
You normally know all the answers.
I
Sam.
don't know. I just feel like most of the whiskey
Maybe it's a
drinks.
thicker liquor, or thicker liquor.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like the alcohol content it tends to be higher, so it makes the ice melt more. I don't honestly know. I could just pull that out of my asshole.
Listen, I've seen that trick. Please don't do that at the table.
Well, no, I honestly don't
It's
know.
not as impressive
if-
as you think.
Depends on what you pull out of that asshole.
It's true.
That's true. I've seen some interesting things, but please don't do that trick.
Live rabbits, I would be impressed.
Poor rabbit.
I know, right? It's like, no.
That rabbit got the shit into that stick, that's for sure.
Shitty day for the rabbit.
Yes.
Yes, figuratively and literally.
Yes.
Continuing. I'm sorry, Sam.
Derailed already.
Dear. So the drink is 1 ounce of Mythology Hellbear whiskey, 3/4 ounce of the St. George's spiced pear liqueur, which is delicious. 1/4 ounce St. Elizabeth allspice dram. So that's a very like spicy herbal kind of flavor liqueur. It's got like allspice and I think clove and like cardamom maybe in it.
I could definitely, like, that was actually one of my things when I was drinking this, was I was like, this tastes a little clovey, which I usually am not into, but I think it pairs nicely with the pear. It pairs with the pear. Berry pears.
Pears.
I like it.
Pears. Okay. So then there's 1/2 ounce of lemon juice to give you some of the acid to balance some of the sweetness.
Yes, Sid.
There's 3 splashes of black walnut bitters, which I use the Fee Brothers version. And then there's 1/4 ounce of Tashi Nacello walnut liqueur. Now, you could add the walnut liqueur or not. I'm drinking it without, but Amber and Lauren are drinking it with. And it just adds a little bit more of a sweetness, a little bit more of a depth flavor. And for the mocktail, it's not going to be exactly... It's definitely going to be kind of a reach. So it's definitely not going to be the same flavor. But maybe you could do like 1 ounce of a non-alcoholic whiskey. There's several brands out there. And then maybe an ounce of apple cider. And then like actually taking... like you still do your like 1/2 ounce of lemon juice and then just taking like an allspice nut, because it is just a nut, and then like grating it over the drink. But you could also like, I guess, add already pre-ground and just like really make sure you stir it in. But I feel like grinding it straight from the nut would be delicious.
Grinding it straight from the nut.
Gotta love that nut grinding.
Yeah.
I feel like that's honestly about as close as we're gonna get, because most
It's a tricky
of the things are it's a very alcoholic drink, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, thanks. I mean, honestly, this was a very tasty drink. So
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I might have a third.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty tasty. I'm not gonna lie.
Just so everyone's aware, we're always open to interpretations. So if anybody has interpretations, so if anybody has any recommendations for non-alcoholic beverages, we are always happy to hear those. We definitely always want to support our sober listeners. It's huge. We're proud of you guys for whatever reason you're choosing to be sober. We're proud. We understand. Like, we just want to be as supportive as we can. So if there's anyone else who's sober and knows the tricks of the trade, please call us.
Yeah, especially because we might not know all of the NA liquors and stuff out there, or like what would pair good with the NA drink. So and shoot us a email or like a direct message on our socials and we'll figure it out.
Or if you're a maker of a non-alcoholic, liquor or whatever, like, let us know, because there's only a few that I'm even aware of. So
and we've been trying to tag them in our social posts and stuff. So definitely reach out. I know we've had a couple reach out to us, non-alcoholic and alcoholic liquors, reach out to us for things. So
please do.
Tag us. Let us know what's up.
Yeah,
I would love
the more
to know
exposure, the better for both of us.
Well, I mean, that's something that I'm not super versed in, and I would love to know more. So
exactly. Yes. Thanks, Sam, for the drink pairing. That was lovely.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Amber, so sometimes we don't announce the food pair, talk about the food pairing on the actual episode because, we run out of time and stuff. Again, check out our social medias, because the food pairing that Amber makes is always posted throughout the month. But we wanted to highlight what you made for this month, Amber, because it was very, at least unique to us. And I think you learned a lot as you cooked this meal, didn't you?
It was honestly like one of my favorite ones. It was really fucking
good.
good.
It was really good. And definitely something I'd never had before.
No.
So I made a Wawash Keshi stew, which means deer stew.
In what native language?
Ojibwe. And also I guess Ojibwe and Chippewa are like the same. I did not know that, but like everything that I read said that they are the same clan. But please correct us if that is incorrect. It's just what I read several times. So I know what Google told me.
Or they're very similar at least.
Yes.
Or like similar. They're the same tribe, but not necessarily clans.
Clan. Yes. Same tribe. So the stew has onions, scallions. It had a type of hickory nuts in it that I can never remember the name of. Something bark hickory nuts. I could not find those, so I Googled what is similar, and it said black walnuts mixed with half pecans would give a similar flavor profile.
Interesting.
And so that's what I did. Celery, wild rice, which was a main food staple of the Ojibwe tribe. Tarragon, which I'd never used before, but smells phenomenal.
It's like a sweet herb.
Yeah, it smells great. Juniper berries, which we've talked
about
on the podcast before.
Bring back the juniper berries.
Yes.
They smell weird.
They're like cedar berries or any kind of like they're basically like cedar berries, but like from the juniper. So they're coniferous fruit.
Yes. And then there was beef broth, mushrooms, and maple syrup, which I found was an interesting flavor additive. But overall, it was a really good stew. Like one of the better meals that I've made in a while. I was very impressed. My husband was impressed. And we paired it with fry bread.
So good.
It was so good. I did want to discuss a little bit about why fry bread is and why it's a little bit problematic.
Please do.
Yes.
I know, but I still love it.
We are here to learn.
It was so good, but its reason for existing is not so very good.
It's not.
So basically, fry bread has roots from it's from colonialism and displacement of indigenous people. And so it emerged as a survival food because they were the native tribes were forcibly relocated from their ancestral lands, and then they received government rations of flour, salt, and lard, and they made do with what they had. And that's how fry bread really kind of came to be. So it's the reason for it is not good, but also it's kind of seen as like a symbol of resilience in tribal culture. So I thought that was very interesting. So it's got negative connotations. It's problematic in ways, but also I like the way that it can be viewed as resilience and survival.
Yeah, it's like turning it back and being like, hey,
like
fuck you.
I used to live out in Oklahoma. I lived out there for like 4.5 years, and you will find fry bread all over the place at powwows and stuff. Still, like, it's something that they've embraced as, something that they've used to get through in the past. And they usually use it for walking tacos. Sometimes it's called cloud bread as well. But
I can see that. Yeah, it's very poofy.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like toasted clouds. But,
kind of looks like funnel cake, but not really either, too.
But it
tastes
good.
way better than funnel cake. Yeah. I'd actually never had fry bread. I've heard of it, but I had never had it before. And that shit, I could eat a lot of.
So, I mean, it's still definitely embraced in today's, like, native peoples. But it definitely didn't start out as a great thing. I think, again, it's like more of a symbolism of just resilience.
Yeah. As it should be.
And then one of the other things that I made to go with this was a dessert. And it's my understanding this is another tribe. Potawatomi berry rice, which was really nice. I really liked it.
Potawatomi?
Potawatomi.
Yeah. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know though.
I have
Don't
no
quote me.
clue. Please excuse me
Yes,
if I
we
say that
are
correctly.
Ignorant and
yes,
how
we
to
are trying to
do
learn,
the
and we are
pronunciations.
recording yourself as we learn. So if we
Yes.
say something wrong or have a fact check us and send us the correction,
because we would love to know. We don't know entirely for sure, and Google can only take you so far. So
exactly, especially the AI overview.
That's one of the reasons that we do the podcast is to just bring more
Awareness.
Yes, thank you. I'm not very good at words lately. Oh, I didn't take my meds.
Oh shit!
There
Oh
we go.
shit! I got a cold. Amber didn't take her meds. This is on you, Sam. You gotta carry us.
I mean, I never take my meds on the weekends because I'm bad.
Vin-
But
That's
Vin
gay.
told me even. I was like, I forgot to take my meds. He's like, you should do that. And I was like, I should, and I will, and I didn't.
Did not.
yep, sounds
And
about
he's
right.
Okay. Well, that's what I like
It's about ADHD.
Yeah. Well, Amber, do you want to tell us a little bit about the author background?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Please do.
Please.
Louise Erdrich was born June 7th, 1954. So she was born in Little Falls, Minnesota to Rita and Ralph Erdrich. Rita was Ojibwe and French, and Ralph was German American.
Okay.
She had siblings, Hyde, Lise, Angela. They were all her sisters, and they were all writers.
Hyde. That's an interesting first name.
Yes,Heid. So she was educated at Dartmouth College.
Fancy.
She got her bachelor's in 1976. She was part of the first class of women admitted there.
I was actually thinking about that. I was like, when did they start admitting women?
And she got her master's at Johns Hopkins
Dang.
in 1979.
She's smart.
Yep.
Fancy schools too.
She married Michael Doris, who was an anthropologist, writer, and then director of New Native American Studies program.
Oh.
They got married in 1981, and they separated in 1995, divorced in 1996. Her career, she wrote poetry. She was editor for Circle, Boston Indian Council paper. She wrote short stories. She wrote a novel with Doris called Love Medicine. The Roundhouse was published in 2012 and won a National Book Award. And she had children with... She adopted Doris's 3 children that he had adopted prior to their marriage, Reynold Abel, Madeline, and Sava. Reynold Abel had a diagnosis of fetal alcohol syndrome, and he died at age 23 in 1991 when he was hit by a car.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Yep. She had 3 more children with Doris, Persia, Pallas, and Aza. 2 of their biological children accused Doris of sexual abuse.
Oh, God.
And one of his adopted children accused him of this as well.
That's not looking good for him.
No. Their adopted child also reported Erdrich knew about it and neglected to stop the abuse. Another of their adopted children accused Doris of child abuse. And in 2001, at age 47, Erdrich had another child, Azur, by a Native American man that Erdrich declines to identify publicly, but there's some assumptions of who it is.
That's a lot of problematic stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Michael Doris, so they divorced in 1996, and Michael Doris died by suicide in 1997. So that's all I have on her. But
Dang.
yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about her.
Yeah, there's a lot of very problematic things there, but yeah. I thought it was very interesting that she had another child at age 47.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
definitely.
yeah, I mean, good for her for doing what she wants when she wants to.
I do know that she owns a bookstore in Minnesota somewhere.
Oh, cool. I didn't know this.
And
Birch Bark Books.
there we go.
Oh, that's not on the back of mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you got the hardcover.
Yeah, the
Got
hardcover.
nothing on the back of
I
yours.
probably have it on the thing that I
let's go to her
don't ever
website.
keep.
Hold on, I'm going to go to her website.
It says she's written 14 novels, volumes of poetry, children's books, and a memoir of early motherhood.
Well, again, if you want to learn more, go Google her, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of interesting things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Amber, for that background.
It's a short one today.
Why don't we dive into the book? But before we do that, because, I mean, it kind of starts off on it's a hard-hitting first chapter.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to ask you guys before we get really into the book. What were the big themes that you took away from reading this book that really caught your attention?
Women's roles in family and relationships.
That's one of the biggest ones that I took away from this was just survivor of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the biggest takeaway for me, because a lot of the things that I plan to talk about today, like when I was in the car on my way over here, those were the things that I was thinking about probably more than anything, was the little things that people don't think about when they think about trauma, that maybe don't come up as frequently. So that's what I wanted to talk about today.
I also thought it was like when I was reading the book, I feel like I was a little, I don't really know if I have the right word for it, but astounded by the lack of their native reservation law, like their ability to actually carry out like law against the people.
State,
the social injustice,
the state versus
involved in criminal activity,
like the res cops and stuff. They really, they don't have as much power as I actually thought that they did.
Yep.
And that to me is truly a tragedy.
Yeah, that's something I definitely wanted to talk about too. That was one of the other themes that I saw.
Yeah. So you guys hit all the things that I basically wrote down. I wrote down trauma, and I just put down emotional unraveling, because you literally witness all of them, specifically the main character's mom,
but also him
and him too,
and
and his dad just unravel because of everything. And then I said the intricacies and unfairness of reservation jurisdiction versus state law, and how the injustice of that. And then I also wrote down that, like, even though this book deals with a lot of hard-hitting, very traumatic things, like I said before, the way she writes was really soothing, and it the way she describes nature and just their home and just their environment was soothing. But then there was always this underlying but it's so beautiful, but there's a darkness to it because of what they're going through. But then they always find a way to make it to deal with it in a certain way. I don't know how to describe that.
I feel like the way she wrote it is very much what you would see through a child's lens.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, maybe it's an innocence. That's what I was feeling. That's kind of soothing. But then it's but what we're dealing with is fucked up, but for some reason the surroundings are soothing.
I feel like that's how a child would see it, because it's you're understanding, but it's also not a complete understanding because you haven't actually gone through life as an adult yet, so you don't get the intricacies.
Yeah, all the complications, and you're not jaded yet.
Yeah, but you're getting there.
You're getting there. We see it through this book. Yeah. So one thing we did want to mention before starting to discuss the book is that we know that the term Indian is not PC, especially when said by non-Indigenous people. But it is a word that is brought up a lot in the book. So I just wanted everyone to be aware of that. We are not trying to be offensive or anything. We are just quoting the book. So we just wanted to put that out there before getting going on the book. So why don't we get into the main character? He is a 13-year-old boy named Joe. Well, that's not his real name. His real name he's named after his dad, Basil, but he likes to go by Joe.
Basil,
which I like the name Basil. I don't know. I've always liked that name.
Basil.
And his mom's named Geraldine, And they live on a Chippewa reservation in North Dakota, and it takes place in 1988.
Oh, it's Antoine Basil Kautz. And he'd fight anyone who put a junior on the back of his name because he is the second.
Yes. But there's like a quote about how he doesn't like being called a junior, so that's why they call him Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of cute. It was like, yeah.
Or number, or called me Basil. I decided I was Joe when I was 6.
Yeah. So they just call him Joe. But I was like, man, Basil's such a cool name. But I get it, like you want to separate yourself a little bit, you know, from your dad. You're your own individual, so
especially
I get that.
Since his dad was like part of, you know, the government on the reservation.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about what his parents do for their jobs?
So his dad is a judge.
Yeah.
Within the reservations.
He was a lawyer and he became a judge. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then his mother is I don't know.
It's almost like record keeping.
Yeah, she's like a
tribal enrollment specialist.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So there's a thing about.
She's almost like a heritage. What do they call them? The genealogy specialist.
Yeah.
Like almost.
Because again, correct us if we are wrong, but what I've gathered from reading this book and the media adaptation that we'll go through is if you're of Native descent, you have to have proof that you are actually of Native descent, paperwork, blood work, all this stuff to actually prove.
And it has to be a certain percentage.
A lot of people pretend that they are and they actually are not, to kind of
reap the rewards.
And yeah, which they should not do. So her job, basically, Geraldine's job was to kind of, she was the historian of the reservation to like make sure that the people that were living on the reservation were actually Chippewa, and she just knew all the ins and outs of like the history of everybody.
Anyone applying, saying that they had, you know, ancestral heritage, whatever, from the tribe. Like, she had to actually prove that. She
kind of knew everybody's dirty little secrets and the skeletons they were hiding in their closets.
And she helped people a lot.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she probably worked with Basil a lot with things, too, because I feel like her job probably had stuff to do with...
There were probably crossovers.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, so... But she just seemed like someone that would help people in their time of need and stuff if they were...
So she probably... had information that could help, but I don't know that she would have been allowed to, because that would probably be like
interference.
What do you call that?
Help prove their case, I guess, is what I'm saying. And then we also get introduced to Aunt Clemence, Uncle Edward, and Moosham.
I liked Moosham.
Yeah. Moosham is Joe's grandfather, and he's a feisty little thing, as you can imagine.
I think we all are partial to like the elderly.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I think all of us have like a little special place.
I also like picked whiskey in particular because of Moosham, because that was his drink that they had to
choice.
They had to hide from him in the upper cabinets where he couldn't reach because he was too frail to get up and get it.
And I'm like, he's in his fucking 80s. Just let him live his life.
Yeah,
right.
Like, I'll let this man do what he wants.
Yeah, and Aunt Clemence would like make this swamp tea, I think they called it, or something like that. Which I don't know what it was, but yeah,
it's just some.
It was some kind of herbal tea, and he thought it was so disgusting, but she just made him drink it all the time because it was healthy.
I mean, not all herbal tea is good tea. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
but I've had the yucky stuff.
I mean, it's good for you. Don't mean it tastes good.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this tastes like mud.
Yeah. Mud tea. So why don't we get into all the things that happen in the first chapter? There's a lot that actually happens. Basically, Geraldine gets called away. She gets a call. And I think Joe witnesses her getting this call, and she grabs a file and she says, I have to go meet someone. And that was hours ago. And at some point, Joe and Basil are like, wait, where's your mom?
Yeah, Basil asks him where she is. And he's like, well, I don't know. They kind of get like this sinking feeling something's wrong.
They just kind of know.
Yeah, they know something's wrong.
They both know something's wrong, but they're both like trying to convince themselves that nothing's wrong.
Yeah, they're like, oh, she went to the grocery store kind of a thing.
Because this whole book is from Joe's perspective. Yes. So it's from a 13-year-old boy's perspective. And like when they first are like, wait, she's gone, Basil's like, we're going to go find her. And there's a quote about how Joe's like, I like how he said, we're going to find her. So they go to Clements and Edward's house to pick up a truck to go try to find her, saying that, oh, she must have gotten a flat tire. She got a flat tire. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. And then they go past where they were looking for her the first time. I think it might have been.
Yeah. Was it at the office maybe?
The office, and she wasn't at her office. Mm-hmm. So then they're like, oh, she must have gone to the grocery store. And then they were like, wait, but the grocery store is closed on Sundays. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, well, it's going to be so funny when she gets home and she realizes that she's going to be mad because the grocery store was closed.
He kept driving because he said she might have forgotten it was Sunday too, which was when we passed her. There, she whizzed by us in the other lane, riveted, driving over the speed limit, anxious to get back home to us. But here we were. We laughed at her face as we did a U-turn there on the highway and followed her, eating her dust. She's mad, my father laughed, so relieved. See, I told you, she forgot. She went to the grocery store and forgot it was closed. Mad now, she wasted gas. Oh, Geraldine.
Also, in this chapter, they were talking about, like, when they realized that she wasn't back home when she normally should be, they were like, women don't realize how much store men set on the regularity of their habits. We absorb their comings and goings into our bodies, their rhythms into our bones. Our pulse is set to theirs, and as always, on a weekend afternoon, we were waiting for my mother to start us ticking away on the evening. And so, you see, her absence stopped time. She would have known that the grocery store was closed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they knew that in the back of their mind.
Yes. They did.
Yeah.
But they were making up things to not worry themselves.
Yes. There's even a part where after she passes them, they were like, oh, let's just take our time getting home just to, not joke with her, but it was like kind of like kid with her about like, ha ha ha, you tried to go to the grocery store on a Sunday and, it didn't happen. So they took their time getting back. They dropped the car back off and they were walking up the driveway. And that's when they were like, oh, shit, because Geraldine was still in her car, kind of just staring off into space. And that's when Basil ran up to the car. My father started running. I could see it, too, in the set of her body. Something fixed, rigid, wrong. When he got to the car, he opened the driver's side door. Her hands were clenched on the wheel, and she was staring blindly ahead, as she had been when we passed her going the opposite way on the road to hoop dance. There was vomit down the front of her dress and soaking her skirt and soaking the gray cloth of the car seat, her dark blood. And then a further way down, it says, a strong smell rose from her, the vomit and something else, like gas or kerosene. So that's whenever Basil calls 911 and they take her to the hoop dance emergency hospital.
But he didn't just call 911. He called 911. He called the local police, the state police, and the reservation police.
Correct.
Because he wanted to make sure that no matter what, they got justice, which I think is bullshit. Because if it were you or I, we wouldn't have to do that. We could call one number and we'd get what we needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he was smart to do that.
He was smart to do that, but I'm saying, yeah. But my thought is that should not be
a thing.
Yeah.
That he would have to do.
That he would yeah. Yep. But he had to make sure to call all 3 precincts to make sure that whatever happened.
Because he didn't know where she was at or what happened or anything.
That's the thing. Even if the only reason why he even did that is because he knew, as someone that worked with the law, like he actually had to make sure that all of them were notified. Because any other yahoo out there, like whether it was us or someone that just was a normal person that lived on the res, like how would they know?
Well, and the other thing is, had it happened on the reservation, it depends on if they're indigenous or not as to whether or not they can even press charges.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different...
Which I didn't know that, and that really pisses me off.
Me too. And this is one of the reasons I think too that we have so many missing indigenous women in this country. That's probably a big part of the fucking reason. And it's terrible, and something has to be done to fix these laws so that everyone gets justice. Mm-hmm. It's really depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why I brought this book to the table, because there's I learned a lot reading this book.
Yep.
And I also didn't know about all the different jurisdictions and things that, the unfairness that the reservations have to deal with because of laws, state law versus reservation law versus what was the other?
Local. And I'm sure there's pros and cons to the way that it is, but justice shouldn't be that hard to carry out.
It just seems like, okay, we had to colonize them and wipe out more than half their population and then make them go on these reservations, and then they don't get the fucking laws that we get. That's fucked up.
It's a house of cards.
Yeah.
It's not fair, and it's just not. Like this system of oppression that just keeps on continuing.
It's continued,
It's giving them something without giving them everything.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll give you an inch so that we could walk all over you.
And pretend that we did something great for you. Yeah.
So they go to the hospital, and there's a whole interaction with Joe and this racist white woman in the
pregnant,
lobby.
Right?
Do you remember that?
She's like the pregnant lady, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a bitch. So he comes in. He's just like sitting in the fucking hospital waiting for news on his mom. And this lady is sitting there reading a magazine. And she says, "Don't you Indians have your own hospital over there? Aren't you building a new one?" And he said, "The emergency room's under construction." "Still," she said. "Still what?" I made my voice grating and sarcastic. She pursed her lips and looked back at her magazine. And then it goes on a little bit later. It said, "The bony, bulgy woman peeked around Cher and spoke to the knitting lady. Looked like the poor woman had a miscarriage, or maybe," her voice went sly, "a rape."
Yeah.
The woman's lip lifted up off her rabbit teeth as she looked at me. Her ratty yellow hair quivered. I looked right back into her lashless hazel eyes. Then I did something odd by instinct. I went over and took the magazine out of her hands. Still staring at her, I tore off the cover and dropped the rest of the magazine. I ripped again. Cher's identical eyebrows parted. The lady who was knitting pursed her lips, counting stitches. I gave the cover back, and the woman accepted the pieces. Then suddenly I felt bad about Cher. What had she done to me? I got up and walked out the door.
I forgot about that part. Poor Cher.
If I could turn back time, if I could find a way
to punch this white racist woman in the face. All right, we can just keep on going. But
anyway, so it was just disgusting. Like, this lady, I know she knows that's her kid.
Well, and she's being so judgmental about it.
Yeah. She
because
is.
when she said a miscarriage or rape, that in the way she said it, that Geraldine deserved it in her mind.
She was hoping it was.
Yeah.
And she looks at the kid. Like, she looks at her son, knowing that's her son.
Yeah.
And she's just a bitch.
Listen, y'all. Mind your business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay? And you could just tell how innocent Joe is, because he rips up the magazine that had Cher on the cover. And then he's like, what did Cher do? Although she did have a song called Half Breed, which is kind of problematic.
Oh, that is
weird.
I did not know that either.
I digress. Yeah, it's not like a If I Could Turn Back Time banger. It's not a great one. But just, I'm glad he did that, though, because fuck that lady.
Yeah. But that was, I think, why I kept that part in there, too, is because that's what I thought was, as soon as he did this, he's like, "Aw, I feel bad for the magazine."
After the interaction with the lady in the lobby, he heard the word rape. So I think he's kind of coming to terms with what actually happened to his mom. And
do you think that he recognized that she potentially was raped before then, until the lady said that? Because I don't think he did.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he really fully understood what rape was.
Yeah. I don't think
because there's a conversation about that where he wasn't
exactly sure.
Because there's a comment. After he knows what it is, he talks to his aunt about it. He said, "Was it rape?" I asked her. "Yes," she said. There was something else I said. Rape is forced sex. A man can force a woman to have sex. That's what happened. I nodded, but I wanted to know something else. Will she die from it?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Clement said, no, she won't die. But sometimes it's more complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Is it a physical death? No. Is it a spiritual death? Yes, it can be.
And so it was really sad because, no, I don't think he understood what rape was fully until Aunt Clemence kind of explained it. And it's a really complicated thing to talk about.
I think she
to a
answered that in a
13-year-old.
very good way, though.
Yeah.
I do too. I was really glad that she answered it the way she did because it is, you don't physically die from it.
Yeah.
But what happens to you internally is totally different.
Can we also mention it wasn't just rape? Like he also tried the person who raped her also tried to murder her.
Yes.
He basically tossed gasoline on her and tried to set her on fire. And eventually, Joe did ask Clemens, his aunt, about why his mom smelled like gasoline, and
yeah,
it was kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't want to answer that.
Yeah.
But he kind of got the gist of it anyway. So, she just kind of looked at him, and he says her skin went the color of old snow, and she just put her head down on her knees and was like, I'm okay. And he was just like, she finally gathered herself and patted my hand, and I didn't ask her about the gasoline again. So he kind of knew just from her reaction without even having a verbal recognition of what happened, what basically happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And from the way that this is written from his point of view, there's a lot of details that keep on popping up, like the gasoline thing, where they don't outright say it to begin with, but then over time it unravels. Oh, yeah, she got doused with gasoline because this guy tried to catch her on fire and all this stuff. And it just slowly unravels, even though we kind of know it happens. That's what's happening.
And it keeps coming back.
Yeah, the gasoline smell keeps on coming. Because I think he's in his mind wondering why. Yeah. But he kind of knows, but he kind of doesn't know because no one's telling him.
Yeah. Well, I think that, but also smell is one of those things that triggers memory more than anything.
Especially gasoline. That's a very pungent
strong smell. Yeah.
So that's probably something that he's going to always associate with that day for the rest of his life.
Gas. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And he worked at a gas station for a while.
So then we get introduced to Joe's friends, Cappy, whose actual real name is Virgil, Zach, and Angus. Cappy is his best friend.
Yes.
And I think he's also slightly older than...
He's a little bit of a ladies' man.
And, he's naturally attractive from what, we gather from this book.
Also, he's 14 or 15.
Yeah, so he's slightly older than the other boys. And so I think they all kind of look up to Cappy. And he's also, even though he's a good-looking dude, he's not a douche. He kind of is very wholesome and stuff, I feel like.
I don't think he's quite understood how attractive he is yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a cute little friend. Anytime they describe the friend, when they're interacting, I'm like, oh, this is so... that's one thing I really like about this book is, it deals with a lot of dark shit, but then there's a lot of, very wholesome interactions with people that I really appreciate.
Well, so I sat down because I was like, Ben, is this what teenage boys are actually like? And he's like, I don't know. Let me, I was like, I'm going to read you a little segment. And I read him and he was like, no, that's exactly what my childhood was like.
That's so funny. So she nailed it.
She wrote boys very well.
Yeah, it seemed I don't know, it just seemed very authentic and just carefree.
Yes.
Somewhat innocent, but trying to get into mischief.
I think it also, part of their, so part of Joe and Cappy's friendship was also because, Cappy's dad was also a chairman off and on.
Oh, yeah.
For the tribe. So, they kind of had that.
Doe.
Yes.
That was his name.
Yeah. So they had that kind of relationship of their fathers did similar things, within the political spectrum part of the tribe and whatnot.
And then we also get introduced to Uncle Whitey and Sonia. So why don't we talk about them a little bit?
Sonia.
They're an interesting pair.
I loved Sonia. I'm not gonna lie.
I liked, but then I'm like, she kind of didn't do great things. At first I liked her, and then I'm like, girl, you're being unfair. But she's doing it because we'll get to it. But
she made some questionable choices.
Why did you like Sonya so much, Sam?
Well, as a former burlesque dancer, I enjoyed that because like she had like a whole entire shtick. And when we get to that part, because that's a part, I was like, yes, girl, I'm enjoying this. Like,
I knew you would. Like, when I was rereading it, I'm like, Sam's gonna love this part.
Like, the whole presentation and the shtick is nice, but like she also, I liked her, but I also felt sorry for her.
That was my feeling overall. Was I felt a lot of. I was just very sad for her.
Yeah.
Because I felt like she got into a situation out of comfort almost.
She bettered her situation, but not necessarily in the ways that she wanted to better it. Because she's still being controlled by outside choices, I guess, because she's being controlled by Whitey in a sense, not necessarily completely,
because basically Whitey is a lot older than her.
Yeah, and she used to be a stripper.
Yeah.
And he used to be one of her customers and would come around all the time and treat her really well and tip her well and whatever. And so she decided to run away with him and leave the stripper life and become his quote unquote wife. They were never married, which we later find out. But everyone calls her his wife. But there's also, some things going on behind closed doors. Like he would actually abuse her
physically
and stuff.
Abusive,
because he would get really drunk and then abuse her. And so it wasn't always like sunshine and rainbows for her, but to her, it was better than the alternative because she had a home, she had consistency, and he wasn't always, terrible to her, and she accepted that. And for a lot of the book, not necessarily all of the book, but a lot of the book.
Well, we also get into how he gets very jealous of her because she's a very attractive female, but like she gets very objectified because of that. There's a lot of creepy quotes, and a lot of them come from Joe, but also he learned that from his adult men figures in his family. Everyone is talking about Sonya and how hot she is in not good ways.
I don't think his dad ever did, though.
No, his dad didn't, but the way that Whitey talks about her, the way that a lot of people talk about her, it's like, of course Joe's he has all these hormones happening and all these things.
He's a 13-year-old boy.
And she's probably closer to his age than she is to Whitey's age, honestly. I don't know how old she is,
but she also didn't help it.
She was kind of being weird too. This is the thing.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% like she was 100% innocent.
Yeah, we're not like saying it's a complicated situation.
She did some weird shit though.
Yeah,
too.
but she did some weird shit too.
There were some very questionable choices that she made.
But also, before we move on, Whitey owns a gas station in town, so that'll come into play later. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was just like how she describes emotions and people dealing with their trauma, and just observing people and how broken they are because of what they went through. And so they get home from the hospital, and there's this whole chapter about how the house seems empty. It's not the same house because of what happened. The air seemed hollow in the house, stale, strangely flat. I realized that this was because in the days since we'd found my mother sitting in the driveway, nobody had baked, fried, cooked, or in any way prepared food. My father only made coffee, which he drank day and night. Clements had brought us casseroles that were still sitting half-eaten in the refrigerator. I called for my mom softly and walked halfway up the stairs until I could see that the door to my parents' bedroom was shut. I eased back down the stairs into the kitchen. I opened the refrigerator, poured myself a glass of cold milk, and took a big swallow. It was grossly sour. I dumped the milk, rinsed the glass, filled it, and gulped down the iron water of our reservation until the sour taste was gone. Then I stood there with the empty glass in my hands. So it kind of goes back to what you were saying, Sam, about how, literally Geraldine, kept this family going, and without her presence, Like, literally, the house was, like, basically falling apart around them.
Yeah, you were, like, as you were reading that, I was thinking to myself, like, damn, are women so little as just, like, the person who feeds everyone? Because it seems like in this family, like, and I'm not saying all families or whatever, or even necessarily in this family all the time, but it's like they're the timekeeper by feeding people.
This paragraph kind of points to the fact of, like, you know, they might not have meant to, but it's like one of those things you take for granted what your parents do for you.
You do.
And I think this is kind of a description of that, of like, holy shit, like, we have no good food in this house because of
no one's
what
actually
has
made
happened.
anything for days. And it was like a weird thing when you go from like always having that meal there, you take it for granted because it's just expected. And then when it's not there, you're like, this is really weird.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those kind of little nuances, I feel like, in the book. And the one I wanted to point out was actually just before that quote.
Okay.
I got the key from its hiding place and went in slowly, quiet, not banging the door and slamming my books on the table as I ordinarily would have. But everything changed. Like, everybody's walking on eggshells. They're trying to be quiet. They're trying not to be disturbing because they know that the whole family's faced a trauma, but they know that the mom has faced the most trauma of all of them.
Yeah.
And
but
so
they're also confused and like, what? Because they're
not
thrown
sure how
off
to deal with it.
by
Yeah.
And I know that it changed everyone in that house, and I know it changed the way they thought about it, and I thought it was kind of messed up how they addressed it sometimes and how they didn't address it sometimes, I guess.
Well, that's the thing with trauma.
The hard thing about
Is
trauma.
anything ever right or wrong when
No.
you're dealing with your own personal trauma? Or it's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
Like, it's so intricate.
Well, because it's like you don't want to talk about it because, like, what if you say the wrong thing?
But then you're suppressing your emotions, which is not good.
Right. And so it's this very difficult thing where it's like, I want to make sure, or even like, you're not even necessarily suppressing your emotions. You don't want to talk about it to the person who's gone through it because you're afraid of bringing it up and dredging it all up. But it's like, it's just so complex.
And him as a child.
Yeah. He's 13.
He doesn't know any of the tactics.
No. He is going to have
the
to grow
ways
up,
to deal with it.
Unfortunately, having to grow up really fast because of
And he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I was thinking about, like, I really like his dad's character, Basil.
I do too.
He is such a good, like, representation of what a man should be. Like, he's not egocentric. He really is trying to help Geraldine, but you could see him struggling with how to help her.
Yes.
Because she basically just shuts down, which I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she literally went through this horrible, invasive thing.
Honestly, if she didn't, I would be like, what is wrong with her?
Like, and but
That's
like
weird.
The way that both Joe and Basil dealt with things, I think was, for the most part, like, pretty good.
No,
considering.
I think
and
they,
Geraldine.
Yeah. I think they all did the best with the tools that they had.
Yeah. At this point, Geraldine has not talked at all.
No.
And she won't talk for a while.
No. She just kind of...
She's a ghost for a long time, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She basically shut down.
Geraldine actually does finally come out of her room for a while to eat dinner, which it was a dinner that Basil cooked. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was kind of like he was really trying. It wasn't great, but I just really, that interaction was...
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible food.
Yeah, she
Terrible
was not
food.
impressed either, and she kind of made fun of him.
Yeah, but like the whole like she finally came down and like, I don't know, they kind of joked a little bit.
I think that was the reason that he cooked such a crappy meal, though. I don't know that he intentionally made it that bad, because I think
I don't know, it kind of sounded like he intentionally made it bad.
Yeah, because I think
really?
Joe was like, because I think Joe even said, like, Dad knows how to cook better than this. He can cook.
My father had made a stew. The collision of smells that hit me when I entered the kitchen were the ingredients: sour turnips and canned tomatoes, beets and corn, scorched garlic, unknown meat, and an onion gone bad. The concoction gave off a penetrating reek. I don't know about you, but that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
The jokes at the end of the chapter are pretty great.
Yeah.
How old were those turnips? Older than Joe. Where'd you get that onion? That's my little secret. And the meat? Roadkill? Oh, God, no. It died in the backyard.
Yeah. She knew.
Yeah. But I like how they had that little, like,
Joking.
like, you know, they're like,
Yeah.
okay, like, things are not okay, but this moment is okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I think they have a lot of those.
And I think that's probably one of the more important things when dealing with trauma is to recognize that things aren't okay, but it's okay to have okay moments. It's okay
Exactly.
to have good times.
And it's
a
okay to feel
healing
shitty.
moment.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be amazing all at once.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to have all the emotions and
Yes.
confront everything.
Yep.
Yep.
So if there's any kind of piece that we can bring anybody who's facing trauma of their own right now, that's the piece I think we'd all like to bring you is trauma is kind of a roller coaster, and it's okay to be okay for a moment and not okay in the next.
And it's different for everybody.
It is.
And healing is not necessarily something that's going to happen all at once. It's going to be little bit by little bit.
Yep.
Exactly.
Ultimately, his dad is like super tender.
Yes.
He
I
is.
really like I
Like,
really like Basil a lot.
yes, I
Yeah.
do too. And like he,
I really like Joe too, but I really like Basil. Like
it's like he understands the injustice. He understands that there are things that he's never going to be able to make right for her, but he's
Yeah.
going to do what he can to make things simplified
Mhm.
to where she doesn't have to think about it.
Yep.
It's there if she wants it, but he's not forcing it upon her.
Mhm.
Like, I think that's honestly all anyone could ask for.
He's probably one of the first male characters that we've had that I was like,
I like
yes.
you.
He is 100% good.
You are
Yeah.
not a dick.
Thank you, Basil.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Yeah.
to Basil.
Thanks for not being a fucko.
Oh,
Yeah. Because I feel like
can't there be more?
So then we get to Basil actually lets Joe read some of the court cases that because Basil's trying to work through this and figure things out and try to get the guy who did this, and so he kind of opens the door and lets Joe in on it and lets him read some of the court cases that he thinks might be prevalent.
And I actually really appreciated this because it was kind of a way for them to bond over the
Yeah.
Like, it was trauma bonding, but it was bonding.
Well, and also I think in Joe's mind he's like, oh, he's giving me
Responsibility.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, I will agree. It is trauma bonding, but I also feel like this was not a place for a child.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
I
true.
think this made it a
At
little bit
age
worse.
13.
Yeah, it made it a little bit
Yeah.
worse for him.
Mhm.
And then should have been.
I get both sides of that because I feel like Basil recognized that Joe felt the need to participate in some way.
Yes.
At age-
for his own healing, but
Yes.
also not age appropriate.
No.
Yeah.
But it also made him like super suspicious of a lot of people. Like it didn't.
I
need to
agree with
be-
that.
Yeah.
And I don't know that his dad really expected it to go in that direction.
The reason why I bring this up is because we do get introduced to the Lark family
Mm.
because of these court cases.
Mhm.
The Larks were bumbling entrepreneurs and petty thieves, but they were also self-deceived. While their moral standards for the rest of the world were rigid, they were always able to find excuses for their own shortcomings. It is these people, really, said my father, small-time hypocrites, who may in special cases be capable of monstrous acts if given the chance. The Larks, in fact, were shrill opponents of abortion. Yet, at the birth of their twins, they had been willing to put to death the weaker, and, as they thought at the time, deformed member, a baby girl. The whole reservation knew about it because one of the nurses at the hospital removed the damaged twin. A tribal member, Betty Wishcob, who was a night janitor, succeeded in adopting the infant.
So, correct me if I'm wrong.
I have so
Larks-
many mean things to say right now.
I know. The Larks are white people that don't live on the reservation.
Right,
Correct?
correct.
And then
Correct.
Betty adopted the twin.
Linda.
Yeah, we'll get to
Linda
Linda.
Lark.
Not yet, though, but we'll get to Linda.
Well, actually, we can get to her right now
let's
because,
just fucking dive in. Okay, so
because the next thing is their case
let's do it.
about Linda.
Let's do it.
Okay, do it.
Oh, let's do it.
Do it.
Do it. I'm looking at you, Amber.
Oh, you want me to do it?
You die.
Okay, I'll die.
Duck out.
Okay. So.
Oh, dear.
Okay. So basically, Albert and Betty Wishcob had both been enrolled members of the Chippewa tribe and residents on the reservation. They died in a state and with 4 children: Cheryl Wishcob Martin, Cedric Wishcob, Albert Wishcob Jr., and Linda Wishcob, who was born Linda Lark.
Mm-hmm.
Linda Lark was informally adopted by the Wishcobs and raised among their family as an Indian. At the death of her adoptive parents, the other children who had moved off the reservation agreed to let Linda continue living as she had in the home of Albert and Betty, which is situated on allotment 100-2874, consists of 160 acres, and was returned to tribal trust after the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934. On January 19th, 1986, the biological mother of Linda Lark Wishcob, Grace Lark, appealed to this court to allow her to assume guardianship of her now middle-aged daughter, Linda, in order to manage her affairs. This child that I abandoned,
what a bitch!
Well, now that her parents are dead and she has 160 acres,
I want to be a part of her life.
I will take that, thank you.
Fucking selfish ass bitch.
She was a twat.
Yeah. To put it lightly.
She was a real twat. So there was another court case that was brought up by his dad. Joe says, "Well, why this one?" I asked when my father returned. It was late. My father sat down, took a sip of coffee, removed his reading glasses. He rubbed his eyes and perhaps in his exhaustion spoke without thinking. "Because of the roundhouse," he said. "The old roundhouse? Did it happen there?" He did not answer. "What happened to Mom? Did it happen there?" Again, no answer. He shuffled away the papers, stood up. The light caught the lines in his face, and they deepened to cracks. He looked 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
So this was the first time that Joe suspects where this event took place.
Yeah, with his mom. Why don't we talk about what the roundhouse is?
So I didn't fully grasp what the roundhouse was. It sounded like it was a place for ceremony at one point in time, but it also sounded like it was kind of abandoned after maybe some other religions were brought into the res.
I think they still use it for things, and it has a lot of sentimental and historical and spiritual value. So they still use it for specific ceremonies. I think it's also kind of on the outskirts of the reservation. Like it's kind of further away from the rest of the reservation. So it's on the border.
Yeah. It's more ceremonial use than it is everyday.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is where he finds out that it happened around the roundhouse.
He suspects it happened around the roundhouse.
Yeah.
When he finds out where it happens, I think comes pretty close to the next chapter, though.
Yeah, I mean, he goes out there to inspect the roundhouse and, starts looking around, and he ends up meeting his buddies out there and whatnot, and there's a lake out there too that's pretty close by that he's inspecting, and he finds he just has a feeling to go out and walk out into the water of the lake, and while he's out there he finds a gas can.
The gas can.
The gas can that was used to basically toss gas on his mother to potentially set her on fire.
Along with a cooler of beer and clothes.
Yes.
And what beer was it?
Hams!
Hams that I forgot to bring.
Sam showed up today and she was like, I bought a 24-pack of hams.
No, a 30-pack.
Oh, excuse me. 30-pack of hams and you fucking forgot it.
Because it was the only fucking amount they had there. It was just a damn 30-pack, and I didn't want a 30-pack, but I also didn't want to go to another store, so I bought the damn 30-pack because it was actually less than $20.
Well, I'm not surprised.
Well, if that's any indication on how it tastes.
Yes. But now you have float trip beer for your float trip.
Yeah, but I don't want that. That's not what I like for a float trip
bring
beer.
it for our next episode.
But if you've not had a Hams beer before, which I had not until now, it is like a less than PBR. So you're welcome. You won't ever have to drink it if you haven't done it already.
But speaking of the hams, though, what do the boys do?
They drink it.
They drink the hams.
Oh.
They destroy the evidence.
Yeah.
But it was
Like,
like
we
only
found
a
this evidence.
It was like a sixer, though. It wasn't really.
It was-
like
But they
a
kept the
lot.
gas can.
Yes.
They did keep the gas can.
And the cooler? I don't remember what happened to the cooler.
Yes,
the beer.
they brought the cooler back, and the dad was like, "Was there anything in it?" And they were like,
Maybe.
What did they do with the clothes? Did they brought
left
the clothes back too, right?
They left
Yeah.
the clothes
Okay.
there.
So at least they, brought most of the evidence back.
Oh, we're coming up on
but-
Father Travis.
Well,
too.
before that though, before the boys go back home though, they're like, "I'm fucking hungry. Let's go visit Grandma Ignatia Thunder."
"I
Grandma
love her."
Let's talk about. Okay, here's the thing. I feel like
This is the kind of
this is
shit.
Sam when she's older.
Yeah.
Sam is
What did
gonna
I
be Grandma Ignatia Thunder when she's older.
dear.
That is a compliment. And just a little paragraph to describe her. There are native grandmas who get too much church and native grandmas where the church doesn't take and who are let loose in their old age to shock the young. Zach had one of those last sort. Grandma Ignatia Thunder. She had been to Catholic boarding school, but it just hardened her, she said, the way it hardened the priests. She spoke native and talked about men's secrets. When she and Musham got together to reminisce about the old days, my father said they talked so dirty the air around them turned blue. That's gonna be Sam. That's gonna be Sam.
Well,
I'm gonna tell you right now.
There's actually a part later in the book when they're having Musham's like birthday party,
Yes.
and they're like talking about like
Their
having sex
sexcapades,
and
yeah.
stuff, and I'm like, all right, girl.
Yeah, I was like, I'm telling you.
well, it cracks me up because the boys are sitting there and they're like, "Don't even mention cats. She'll say pussy." "Okay," I said. "The list of topics not to mention while we stuff ourselves at Grandma's is balls, cats, pussies, dicks. Don't say head ever. Don't say winag. Don't say anything that rhymes with the F word or the word cock. Don't say crotch, prick, snatch. Like snatch at something. She will take it wrong. Believe me. Don't say horny. Don't say hard. Don't say hot or tit or virgin."
All the words are off.
Yeah, they're like they are preparing to go to Grandma Thunder's, and they're like, "She makes great food, so we're gonna go." But
Yeah.
nobody say shit while we're there.
Yeah.
No one say shit about fuck.
I love her.
I do
love
too. I
her.
was like, I adore this woman.
Yes, I want to be her when I'm older.
I feel like all right. I feel like I'm there already, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
you
Sam
said
is
that, yeah.
Grandma Ignatia Thunder.
Oh dear.
A compliment.
Just getting
The
worse.
highest of compliments. So then we get to Joe gets home, but he overhears a conversation between his father and Edward about a local priest, Father Travis, and how he might
Father,
be...
what a waste.
Yeah, Sam. Tell us about Father Travis, please.
Oh,
Do tell.
So Father Travis is like a young white dude, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And he's apparently very muscular and has like these ice blue eyes.
Yeah. He's very handsome.
But he's also like handsome in the like Heathcliff disfigured kind of way. Like
Yeah.
he's got scars on his...
Well, because he was in the military.
yeah.
Yeah. And he's seen some shit.
Yeah, it sounds like to me like he was like probably deployed and had some things
War wounds.
happen, and he was at the time engaged and basically let her go because he didn't feel like he could give her what she wanted because he's this disfigured ugly man. It is like, okay, calm down, sir. So they ended up like not being together, and he ended up going into the priesthood, but he still like keeps himself in shape.
Yep.
He's well fit, and he just like works out and drinks beer and does
Watches
Catholic
Alien.
shit.
He's one of those dudes that you're like, why the fuck are you a priest? You could be living your life.
Yeah, he's like literally
Come to
doing
me,
it.
bless me now.
Ew.
The Father, the Son, and the whatever the thing
He's
is.
giving
Holy
me the
Ghost.
Holy Spirit.
Give me all the Hail Marys, please.
Oh, yes. So that's what the girls called him, was Father What a Waste,
Yeah.
because he was so handsome. And he's just stuck there on the reservation being the Catholic priest, and he's just, He's obviously wounded in soul as well as body.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He's an interesting character.
I feel like he's punishing himself.
Yeah.
I did too.
He needs to go to therapy, I think.
Yeah.
Not Catholic therapy. Like
a real therapy?
Yes, I was going to say real therapy.
Not
and
confession, but like legit therapy. I
didn't want to offend anyone, but what the fuck? This is our podcast. I will offend whatever.
It is legit therapy.
I mean,
if you want to just Catholic priest, confession
is not therapy.
I mean, it can be therapeutic.
Yes.
But it is not therapy.
Yes, true. They are different things.
Yes.
But at one point, Joe actually thought that maybe it was Father Travis that had assaulted his mother.
Because of the conversation between his dad and Edward, they talk about he gets brought up in the conversation whenever he comes home. And I forget why.
I forget why too, but I think part of it's just because he's a strange character.
Yeah, and he's white, and he's like on the reservation, and
he's out there like shooting gophers and shit.
Oh yeah, he's like really into like killing gophers on his
and they're
property.
Like, oh, but it's not.
He's letting out his rage on those gophers, those poor gophers.
Hey, it's either like gains or gophers. So what you want?
What you want?
They fucking end up sneaking up on him in the parisher's house. So Father Travis is watching Alien.
Yes, I remember that. I'm like, good movie choice.
Like of all the movies, Alien. All right. And they hadn't seen it because it was
they're
only...
big sci-fi people too. Like the boys are like they're like into Star Trek and Klingons and shit. Yeah.
And they hadn't seen Alien because it was only in theaters and they hadn't gotten to actually go and see it yet. So he had a VHS of Alien playing.
Sounded like he kind of knew they were there.
Oh, he did because he turned up the volume.
Yeah, he turned the volume up so you could watch
him turning up the volume.
Yeah. So they like end up following him around his house and creeping through his windows, and like he goes to the bathroom and he's peeing and they're like listening to him freaking pee. He says, "We watched Father Travis take off his wizardly cassock and hang it up. He had big, hard-muscled shoulders and rock-like pecs. Yes. Crazed scars looped down the divided slabs of his stomach. He shed his boxers and stood butt naked, then turned around. His scars all connected in a powerful tangle around his penis and balls. His equipment was there, but obviously sewn back on," said Angus later, awed, telling Zach. Everything down there was a scar tissue, rigid, slick, gray, and purple. And then we panicked and scrambled away as the lights went out. But yeah, like, so, I'm sorry. Even if his dick was sewn back on, I would still love me about it.
Yeah. Hey.
Not gonna lie.
He definitely knew that they were there, though.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Because that's...
I think he was intentionally trying to be like, oh, you want a show? I'll give you a show. Here's my weird-ass fucking shit.
Well, that's weird, though, that he did that, though. I think that's weird.
It is weird, but I also know why he did it. Because there was, like, the whole thing before where Joe was questioning him. He knew exactly why he was questioning him.
Yeah.
Oh, to show him that he's impotent.
He was showing him that it wasn't possible for him to have been the one who did this.
Yeah.
There could have been...
There was a better way to do that.
There's a better way.
It's called conversation.
A little less talk. Especially when you're a fucking Catholic priest. Please don't expose yourselves to
male
13-year-old boys.
Or any children. Yeah. Just don't do that. But
he made several questionable choices as well.
Not great, but
Again,
whatever.
Therapy.
Yeah, Linda Wishcombe. Let's talk about Linda Wishcombe. She comes to visit Basil and Joe and Geraldine at some point. And she has a conversation with Basil and Joe at the dinner table, kind of like just laying out everything of her upbringing and everything.
And she always really liked Joe's mom.
Yeah, because she was always very nice to her and helpful, and she kind of I don't know, her whole story is pretty messed up. I forget her birth mom's name.
Bitch.
Yes.
Grace Lark.
What a not great name for her.
I don't like
Grace
that.
comes out of nowhere and calls her up and is like, hey. And her first reaction is like, she hangs up on her.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I don't want you into my life. But then she finally goes to a diner with her, and basically her birth mom is like, your brother's dying. He has kidney failure, and I can't give him my kidney because I don't have, the right blood type or anything. So basically, the only reason she went to Linda this whole time, even though she could have found her this entire time but didn't, is because she wants Linda to rescue her brother Lyndon.
This whole entire part of this, I was pissed.
I know, me too. It pissed me off, but the way that this is really cool too, because the most of the book is from Joe's perspective, but it switches for this chapter to Linda's perspective, which I actually really like. And honestly, I really like Linda as a character.
Is she weird? Absolutely. Is she got probable cause for being weird? Absolutely.
I would be her friend.
Would you like to order? Grace Lark asked, touching the menu. Have anything you like. It's all on me. No, thank you. We will split the check, I answered.
Yep.
I had thought about this in advance and concluded that if my birth mother wanted to assuage her guilt in some way, taking me out to dinner was far too cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
girl.
fuck, yes it is.
Yeah.
This lady abandoned you. And then she's like fucking there asking for a kidney.
Yep.
Also, I'm sorry, but walleye and pilaf and some sour-ass white wine is not enough for me to give anybody my kidney.
They're definitely taking advantage of her.
They are.
And
oh, yeah.
she knows that they're not good people, but yet she still feels like she can't say no.
I think she wanted some connection. She knew that she was a twin, and I think she hoped, because she had alluded to the fact that she felt like there was always someone else with her. You remember that? She talked about how she always felt like...
The twin thing,
yes.
Yeah.
And
but
she felt like it was...
didn't have a connection with him, though.
Right. And so she felt like it must be because she had a twin that she felt like she had this other person with her. But it wasn't that. She, meets him and he's a total shit dick.
This whole time, she could have found her and been a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's only because Lyndon was
wanted
sick.
something from her.
Exactly.
Yes. And why was Lyndon sick?
Fucking C word.
Because he's a fucking dickwad and didn't take care of himself because he was too many boozing.
Linda actually went to a doctor to see if she was the actual blood type that would
yes.
work. And the
she met him
doctor
there.
actually said he's had not one but 2 restraining orders taken out against him. He also tried to commit suicide with a massive dose of acetaminophen, aspirin, and alcohol. That's why he is on dialysis. I think you should take that into account when making your decision. So the doctor is literally, without saying it, being like, you shouldn't do this. Yeah. He's a fucking asshole.
He's a fucko.
Yeah. Well, it's
he's a fucko.
He wasted his own, organs. He wasted his life.
Yeah.
You don't have to give him something because it's very likely that he could potentially just waste what you're giving him.
Yep.
Which, sucks. But, I mean, honestly, doctors shouldn't actually be saying any of that either.
Yeah. And then she goes to visit him in the hospital. And she has this really horrible conversation with him where he's basically berating her. He's like...
I've got so many highlighted right here because I'm so mad.
do too.
So mad!
Read that part?
So, there was also another person involved with the abuse and rape of Joe's mom. It was Mela Wolfskin, and she had a baby. She was a minor. She was 17, I believe, and she was working for the governor at the time. And
he was not a good person.
No, the governor's not a good person, and Lyndon was also working with the governor. I don't remember exactly what he was doing, but he was jealous and wanted Mela for himself, basically. So it goes, Lyndon told me that the girl he liked was young, working with the governor, that she got good grades and stood out, a model high school sweetheart, picked to intern. An Indian intern making the administration look good, he said, and I even helped her get the job. She's really too young for me. I was waiting for her to grow up.
Ugh.
But this highly placed official grew her up while I was stuck in the hospital. He's been growing her up ever since. So basically, he groomed and or raped her, got her pregnant. She had this child and then had the audacity to go and register this child's heritage with Joe's mom, which would then say, oh God, the governor is being a fucking gross creep And that was a whole thing. The governor also offered her like hush money. It was like 40 grand, which comes up later in the book.
Yeah.
And so Lyndon Lark was basically lusting over this girl. So he's also a nasty creep.
Yep.
And basically ended up kidnapping her and the baby and also Joe's mom and doing all this terrible shit to them.
Which at this point, again, her writing is great because she kind of sprinkles in little seeds of things.
Yes.
Like what you read was the quote, but then you gave us more detail that we get throughout the book.
Yeah, much
we
later.
We didn't know that yet, but we're giving you that clues now just because, it's different. But
we have to make
at this
make
point,
sense.
If you're reading the book for the first time, you're like, oh, that's fucking weird. He's an asshole, but you don't know the whole context of
right.
I started suspecting something here.
Yeah, but you don't know everything.
Yeah.
So you're already getting the point that Lyndon's a terrible dickwad.
He's a fucker.
So that's bad enough as it is. And then you have what he's actually saying to Linda.
Yeah.
Who is there to give him her fucking kidney.
Literally visiting him in the hospital.
And he's like, nothing against you, he said. This was my mother's idea. Not our mother's. My mother's.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want your kidney. I have an aversion to ugly people. I don't want a piece of you inside me. I'd rather get on a list. Frankly, you're kind of a disgusting woman. I mean, I'm sorry, but you've probably heard this before. You probably have a cat, he said. Cats pretend to love whoever feeds them. I doubt you could get a husband or whatever unless you put a bag on your head, and even then it would have to come off at night. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Fuck you!
The fact that he said, oh dear, I'm sorry, at the very end pissed me off.
Also, I have a cat and I am a single woman and fuck you!
Also, the way you read it actually made it more comical because you kind of read it like a mean girl.
Yeah.
You probably have a cat? Cats pretend to love whoever feeds them. I doubt you could
get a husband.
Like, he's just a little fucking bitch.
That's what he is.
I know.
Her response to that,
yes,
though. Did you say those things to drive me away? I asked. I had begun to float around again, the way I had in the restaurant. Maybe you want to die. You don't want to be saved, right? I'm not saving you for any reason. You won't owe me anything.
And he's like, oh, you?
Yeah.
He seemed genuinely surprised. He shook his head, wagged his finger at me, laughing so hard he seemed overcome. When I bent down awkwardly to pick up my purse, he laughed so hard he nearly choked. I tried to get away from him to get to the door, but instead I backed up against the wall and was stuck there in that white room.
Here's the thing. So,
what's the thing?
The Lark family, they wanted to discard Linda because she was disfigured, quote unquote. I'm not going to say it, but the R word.
Yeah.
When, in fact, she is way more emotionally intelligent than any of them will ever be.
Yeah.
Yep.
They are the worst.
They're monsters. She's empathetic and kind.
Yes.
She recognized.
The whole time she was like, I do not have anything in common with these people.
Yeah.
She knew because she was raised by nice people, not them.
Well, and
she might have their blood, but she is nothing like them.
Right.
No.
It's a case of nurture versus nature.
Yeah. The whole chapter of Linda giving her point of view is her telling it to Basil and Joe. And then at the end, she says, and after that, as you know, I became very ill. Yes, said my father, I remember. You contracted a bacterial infection from the hospital and were sent to Fargo. I contracted an infection of the spirit, said Linda precisely, in a correcting tone. I realized that I had made a terrible mistake. My real family came to my rescue, got me on my feet again, she went on. And Geraldine, too, of course. Also, Doe LaFournaye put me through their sweat lodge. That ceremony was so powerful. Her voice was wistful. And so hot! Randall gave me a feast. His aunts dressed me in a new ribbon dress they made. I started healing and felt even better when Mrs. Lark died. I suppose I shouldn't say that, but it's the truth. After his mother was gone, Lyndon moved back to South Dakota, and soon he cracked again. Or so I heard. Cracked? I asked. What do you mean by that? He did things, said Linda. What things, I asked. Behind me, I could feel the force of my father's attention. Things he should have got caught for, she whispered, and closed her eyes. So there was a lot in that little paragraph, but basically...
There's a lot actually in that whole, a few pages.
I know. Her blood family was not there for her when she literally was gonna die because of giving fucking Lyndon her kidney, but all of the people on the reservation were there for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they honestly did not give a fuck about her at all. They just wanted her for what she could give them.
Yep.
So he goes to the roundhouse and he's going back around the lake to where he found the gas can and was just going out on this weird pier that was old and dilapidated and was looking around. And then he's this time a child's face stared up at me because he's on the pier and there's boards missing and
That's
stuff.
That's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a child's face.
I'd be what? Yeah. Startled. Startling, but I knew it was a doll right off. A plastic doll sunk wide-eyed into the lake, smirking like it had a secret. Blue eyes with bits of sparkle in the iris catching points of sun. It occurred to me that if there was a toy, there might be a real child attached to it, and that child might be wedged underneath the dock. As soon as I truly made sure there was no real child to go with it, I fished out the doll and shook it so the water trickled out of the seam where the head met the molded plastic body. I wrenched the head off the doll to dump out the rest of the water, and there was my luck. Right there, the doll was packed with money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and he doesn't know how much money at this point.
No.
He's just oh, shit.
So
there's $5 in here.
Honestly, I get why he went to Sonya. He was oh shit, there's a lot of money. I'm gonna go to Sonya because
well, she did all the books and stuff anyway.
Yeah, and he looked up to her. He's more his age than anybody else.
He's girl, I found all this money.
And
what you
also,
gonna do about it?
With things with his dad, he trusted his dad, of course, but he knew that his dad would
question him a lot. I feel and he didn't want to be questioned about that. I feel it's one of those things. It's I found this wad of money. Do I turn it into the cops or do I just keep it?
She was the safe person to go to.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
But, then she did kind of a weird thing and set up a bunch of accounts.
Yeah, which at first I was okay. I kind of get that.
I did. You know what? The whole entire time I was ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Because she set up the accounts.
They went to a bunch of different banks and hoop dance.
Under his name with hers as the guardian.
Yeah. So they both have authorization.
That she can withdraw the money too. Yeah. And I was as someone who used to work in a bank, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And I was right.
Yep. And it totaled over $40,000, which at that time, now it's a lot to find in a fucking doll. But then it was a lot to find in a fucking doll.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's so funny because I guess I'm just not innocent, but whenever I was reading that, I'm oh, she's trying to
help him.
But you were no.
I felt she had good I think she had good intentions.
I think she initially had good intentions, but she was also setting herself up if things went bad. She could
which she did. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And he's a kid. Who's he gonna fucking tell?
So Joe gets back home after scattering the cash around hoop dance, and there's an FBI agent at his house.
Bjerke. I would say it's Bjerke.
Bjerke with his dad, and they are trying to convince Geraldine to talk because this whole time Geraldine has not said a word about anything that's happened. So they go up there, they sit for hours and hours and hours with her, and nothing happens. But they start talking about this baby that this governor's trying to adopt. And that's what sparks Geraldine's interest. So basically, once Geraldine realizes that this baby is safe, is when she spills the beans. Geraldine goes to the roundhouse to meet Mela, but gets ambushed by this person.
Yes.
I kind of wonder if she was forced to call.
She was.
I was wondering that too.
I think she was.
I think she was because Well, spoiler alert, but the person that does it is Lyndon.
Yeah.
And
which isn't really
feel like
much
he
of a
felt-
spoiler.
it's not much of a spoiler
No.
because he's a fucko.
I feel like he felt like he could use it as a way to blackmail the governor.
Lyndon knew that this location was the best location to do this crime because it was in no man's land, basically, because there was the roundhouse which was on reservation land, but then like right outside of that was like outside of reservation land. It was like state land. Mm-hmm. And then there was another section that was like a different part. So it was in 3 different jurisdictions. So he did the crime specifically in that part so to complicate things.
Yeah.
Which is fucked up.
It is fucked
There's
up.
even a part in this chapter where he's like, "Oh yeah, I've read a lot about law and everything. I could be a judge. Do you know a judge?" He said that to Geraldine.
Yeah.
Like he knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do we think he actually had any relations with Mela or not? Because like I feel like
I was wondering that too. I don't think he actually did.
I think he did. I think he was delusioned.
I think he was delusioned too. I was wondering that too when I was reading it, Sam, because I was like, she definitely had relations with the governor because I think she was forced to, but I don't know if she actually had relations with Lyndon. I think that he was infatuated with her.
Yeah, because he's like, he said, "I am really one sick fuck."
Yeah.
I suppose I'm one of those people who just hates Indians generally, and especially if they were at odds with my folks way back. But especially my feelings is that Indian women are, and then it says what he called us. I don't want to say. He screamed at Mela and said he loved her, yet she had another man's baby. She did this to him. But he still wanted her. He still needed her. She had put him in this awkward position, he said, of loving her. You should be crated up and thrown in the lake for what you've done to my emotions.
That whole chapter, there's a lot of quotes that we're not going to get into because it's very triggering and it's very emotional and very fucked up.
Yeah.
So just read it and you'll get the full context of it. So Joe starts working at Whitey's gas station.
Yes.
And he ends up staying with Whitey and Sonia because Basil has to leave town to do some investigation on basically this case. And then Geraldine actually goes back to the hospital for a little bit just for, I think, some rest and just therapeutic relaxation stuff.
Yes.
I think it was a respite, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a whole chapter about him having fun with Whitey and Sonia and be like, this is fun. I'm just having fun. It's carefree, whatever. But then there's a quote where it says, that day a couple things happened that were no good. And that kind of alludes to like this whole day of like shitty things that happen. Sonia has these earrings on that she's never had before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like nice earrings. They're like legit fancy earrings.
Yeah.
And so Joe kind of is like, where'd you get those? But then also Whitey's like, Whitey assumes that she's
cheating
on him.
Or some dude's like trying to convince her to cheat. Yeah.
But Joe, I think, realizes, hey, she used some of that money to buy those earrings.
Yes. And
which she kind of told him not to do.
Yeah.
She's like, use this. She said, save this money for your college.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then she's going off and buying earrings.
Yeah. And like, if you use this money, that's how you get caught. And Whitey was like, hold up, you looking way too good. What's happening?
What's happening? But he doesn't even know the grand scheme of things.
Right. He doesn't know about the money.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that happens. So they're all on edge because of different things. And then Joe is, working at the gas station and this man comes up. And who is that man?
Lyndon. That motherfucker.
He looked at me hard. I wish I had a kid like you. I don't have any children. Gee, too bad, I said, like I meant the opposite. Now I was put off. I still couldn't place him. Even an Indian boy like you can have a good family and get that sort of start, I guess. I turned to walk off. Oh, I've said too much. Come back here. He tried to give me another 5. I kept going. He looked down and turned the ignition key. The engine coughed and caught. Well, that's me, he called, always saying too much, but he slapped the side of the car. Say what you will, you're the judge's son. I whirled around. My twin sister had a loving Indian family, and they stuck by her when times were hard. Then he drove off, and because of what Linda had told me, I knew I had spoken with Lyndon Lark.
Yep.
Something bitch.
And then, that same day, Whitey and Sonia have a physical altercation where Whitey basically
knocked her around, and Joe's in the other room, just kind of like, what the fuck? This isn't right. I think he actually kind of tries to defend her a little bit. Yeah, he
punched her.
Yeah.
Or he punched
Him.
Whitey.
Him, yeah. Not Sonia.
Yeah, not Sonia. Yeah.
And then he ends up being like, fuck this. I'm going to Aunt Clement's and Uncle Edward's house. Because he's like, I'm done with it. That was fun for like a couple days, the party lifestyle. But I need to go somewhere where I know I'm safe and it's a regular, just responsible people. So to give us a little bit of levity, why don't we talk about Joe, Cappy, and the boys' interaction with the youth Catholic group. So basically the boys go skinny dipping, and these two other children, teens, a boy and a girl, like come upon them like bathing in the lake or river, and they're like, you can't be here. That's when Cappy was like, okay, I'll get out of the water. And he just juts out of the water, full buck-ass naked. And the girl was like, I'm not going to look away. But the boy was like, oh my God.
I'm looking, but I'm not looking.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man, said Cappy. He reached out to put the orange back, but the guy's face went a terrible dead purple, and we could hear his back teeth grind. He's shitting mad or something, Cappy said.
Shitting mad. I'm going to start using that. Shitting mad.
And just like that, the guy flipped over and began thrashing wildly and jerking his head, and he would have drowned right there if we hadn't grabbed him and carried him up on shore. We laid him out. I was the only one with socks. I rolled one up and stuck it in his mouth. We took turns holding the guy, talking to him, and at the same time getting dressed quick. He quit seizing, and I removed the sock. We sent Angus up to get Father Travis.
Yeah, so they kind of helped the boy. Neil, that's his name. Yeah, Neil.
Yeah.
Found it, finally.
All the boys are kind of captivated by this girl, though. They're like, oh, she's
Dream girl.
Yeah, dream girl, yeah. But of course, who captures her eye is Cappy.
Cappy.
Of course.
Well, his ding-a-ling dong-dong is hanging outside.
Ding-a-ling dong-dong. I also love how all the boys are like, hey, why don't we like kind of be a part of this religious camp thing? Like, we can meet some girls that way,
Yeah.
They're not really into the religion, but they just want to like kind of be a part of it and stir up some mischief.
Cappy falls in love with Azealia, and they end up doing the deed.
Oh yeah, Cappy
in the
and
church.
Azealia. Oh yeah, that comes later.
They broke into the church. And
they definitely become a thing for sure. They become a thing.
At that moment, Zach rode up and told us what was happening down by the lake, with the search and rescue teams and the police and the vans towing commandeered fishing boats. By the time we got to the lake, we could see them. The dogs and their handlers and 4 aluminum boats without Ford motors. They were looking for a car that went down, said Zach. At least I know that much. I knew it was Mayla's car. From what Mom had said, I knew that her attacker had sent it to the bottom of the lake. I also knew that they were looking for Mayla. I couldn't help imagining ways that he could have weighed her body down and somehow got her back into that car.
And then they end up pulling up her car.
The next day. And
there's a quote. One thing that sent through me a shock that registered as a surface prickle and then went deeper. All that day, all evening, then that night until I saw it again, the moment I was falling asleep and started awake. In the back window of the car there was a jumble of toys. All were washed together so you couldn't quite distinguish what each of them was except for a scrap of cloth, a piece of blue and white checked fabric that matched the outfit on the doll stuffed with money. So that's whenever Joe realized, holy shit, that doll came from
the car.
The car. Yep. Mm-hmm. So now we get to Musham's birthday celebration. Why don't we talk about that?
Sam's going to talk about that.
Ignatia, please talk. Please discuss.
Oh, duh.
Conversation. Please discuss your conversation with Musham.
I apparently need to tell it on myself.
But before, listen. If you ever decide to go back into burlesque,
yeah,
please, when you're older,
Grandmother Thunder,
be Grandmother Thunder.
Yes.
I am Grandmother Thunder.
More like Grandmother Thunder Thighs. No.
Grandmother Thunder Thighs. I love it.
I dig it.
I love it.
So Musham and Grandmother Thunder are basically talking about their
sexual exploits as a young
the sexcapades when they were younger.
But also during this whole thing, Musham insists on having his hair down because, you know, he wants his hair down.
Yes.
But then this cake gets brought out to him. And he tries to blow out the cake, but his hair's so greasy. And he tries to blow out the cake that his hair catches on fire.
Yeah, it's all dangling down in the fucking candle flames.
So then there's this whole scene about him getting his hair put out. But then he takes his dentures out in a coffee cup or something.
Well, they threw lemonade over his head
to douse out his hair.
Yeah, because the hair out.
It's a series of
the
like
cake
weird
also
events.
had liquor in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's why it was so flammable. And so he puts his dentures in a cup, but then some kid runs off with his dentures.
Yeah, his cup. He's drinking like Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's just like the whole explanation of this whole party. I was like, I want to be at that party. I want to be a fly on the wall at that party.
I'm like, sounds about right. Yeah.
Yep. It seemed like a really fun party.
And was it then that also Sonia walked up to Musham and was like whispering in his ear and he was like giggling and whatnot?
Yeah, Joe witnessed Sonia and Musham whispering and he was like, what the fuck?
So it's like some foreshadowing for some shit.
And at this point, he's already kind of like, Sonia's kind of sketch because she bought those earrings and those jeans and stuff. So he's like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, didn't she show up at the party with something else new too?
I think so, yeah. I don't remember what, but you're correct.
Yeah.
I believe. One quote I wanted to read after that whole party was this little cute quote. My father said I should ride my bike home, and I did, wobbling into the yard because he had drank some things, because he's, 13 years old. He said I took Pearl the dog up to my room and was just falling asleep when I heard my parents coming home. I heard them walk up the stairs talking together in low voices, and then I heard them enter their bedroom the way they always had before. I heard them shut their door with that final small click that meant everything was safe and good. And that little quote I really liked because up to this point, his parents were sleeping in different rooms because
he didn't Basil want to scare her.
Yeah, Basil was sleeping in like the guest room or his office.
Yeah, he
and this is the
make sure
first time.
Yeah,
that they probably didn't even do anything. They just slept together. They were together.
Yeah, they were just together.
Yeah, and I just really like that quote because I'm like, okay, progress.
Yeah, back to normal.
Small steps.
To an extent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some small claim to normalcy.
There's another quote a little bit later that says, there was a few days when it was normal, but it was holding your breath normal. Mm-hmm. Which I really like that quote because it really like makes a lot of sense.
It does.
Because it's like, okay, this is my new normal. I'm figuring it out as I go. And there's still a lot of tension and things I need to work through, but this is normal for me right now.
But you're still waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly, yeah. Yep. So now we get to Musham's birthday present from Sonia. So why don't we get to that? Because that's a very weird scene that I think we need to discuss. That's also a problematic scene with Sonia.
Yes. So she, again, like we said before, she used to be a stripper. So for Musham's birthday gift, she basically did a striptease for him. And
Which
Joe would not leave because he was supposed to be watching Musham.
Yeah.
But he was also just like being a little jerk, because sometimes boys are like that. Adolescent boys are like that. And he wanted to know what they were like talking about and being a part of it, and so he wouldn't leave when she asked him to leave.
Well, I think also he was just more distrustful of Sonia than he was of Musham. I don't think he realized this was going to happen.
No. And
I think maybe right before she was like, fine, I think he kind of started maybe thinking, oh, because she's talking about like getting dressed and things.
Yeah.
And then he says, you're going to let me stay because if you don't, I'll tell Whitey about the money.
Yeah, and that's when she gets real pissed.
That's when she was pissed.
That's when she's like, okay.
She's like, fine, you could fucking stay.
That's when a switch turned in her, I think.
Yeah, because she said, really? She said, her voice was sad, a whisper. Really?
Yeah.
I should have left then. In a half an hour, I wished I had, but I stayed. I've never felt all one way about what happened next.
And she was like, if you ever say a word about anything to anybody, Joe, I will cut your puny dick. Or cut off your puny dick, yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you're going to turn into one of those men.
Yep.
Which I don't think he did. But she thought he was going to because he essentially threatened her.
Yeah.
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 But
neither of them were right.
Don't think that she was right in doing that.
No,
she should never have done a striptease for Musham, honestly.
No.
But
Wow.
That one's more
that's still weird.
It's weird, but it's more
It's
acceptable.
But I think it's like a kind of a joke thing between them.
Yeah. It's more defendable.
It wasn't so much sexual as more like, let me give this guy a last hurrah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they're actually doing anything.
No.
But involving a 13-year-old's not great.
Yeah.
She's like, I might kill him by doing this, but he'll die happy.
So Musham ends up like
kind of
passing out.
Yeah.
He passes out for a little bit and they think he's dead, but he's not dead. But he had a good birthday. That's for sure. But I think that is like definitely the catalyst of like Sonia and Joe's relationship where they're like, nope, we're done. So then we go to Cappy and Joe's conversation about how Zelia left because she was around for, like a little, like,
it was like
Catholic
summertime kind of
camping
thing. Yeah.
And they totally did it.
They did it.
In a lot of places.
It was like 3 days, yo.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot of places.
Including the church.
Yeah.
Which didn't he tell the pastor about?
Okay, so we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
But, so he's talking to Joe, and it like all the conversations between Cappy and Joe about how Cappy's just heartbroken that Zelia left. I'm like, your first love. Like it's very much like, oh, I get how you feel like so devastated.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's fine. It's gonna pass.
Yeah.
But he's like, my heart. There's like a part where he pounds his chest a lot.
Yes.
And he's like, I feel it. He's like being very dramatic. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, Cappy. Oh, Cappy.
I mean, again, he's like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah. So he does end up going to confess to Father Travis.
That's what it is.
But I also feel like he's doing that to give Father Travis a fuck you, though.
I'm
like,
going to confessions.
Yeah.
Cappy.
Yeah, so, and like all the other boys are like, are you sure? And he's like, yes, I'm going to. So he goes into the confession with Father Travis, and then they both burst out of the confession and like they go on a foot race where like Cappy's ahead and Father Travis is like trying to get him.
And he's like staying up on him.
Yeah, oh, of course, because he's like a military fit
Yeah.
dude. And it's like legendary in the community, like this whole infamous chase scene. But Cappy ends up getting away.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's this whole thing.
He did catch him.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Cappy jumped off the bike, but Father Travis, purple in the face, wheezing, had him by the shoulder and bodily lifted him. Angus and I had dropped our bikes to plead his case. Although we couldn't have known for sure what Cappy planned to confess, it was now obvious. He had confessed what we feared he would confess. Father, this does not look good, said Angus. Let him down, please, Father Travis. I tried to imagine my father's voice in this situation. Cappy is a minor, I said. Perhaps that was absurd, but Father Travis had hold of Cappy's shirt now and had raised his fist, and his fist stopped in the air. A minor, I said, who came to you for help, Father Travis. We'd somehow gotten the upper moral ground in that moment, and we knew it. We got on our bikes. Good day, Father, said Angus. Father Travis stared at us.
Good day.
As we rode away. Oh my gosh. What a fucking ride that was.
Well, I love it, though, because, like, totally Joe put on his dad's little cap and was like, hey, if you fuck him up, you're gonna be in trouble because you are, he's a minor.
Yeah.
And, like, that was awesome, honestly.
Yeah. But it just cracked me up. And, like, therapy, Father Travis.
Yes,
therapy.
he needs therapy. Also, I love it because then Joe goes home and he's talking to his parents about it. And he's like, Cappy's run was already becoming history and his reputation would soar. Father Travis was not damaged by it either, as we'd never had a priest in such fine athletic shape.
The size of his calf muscles.
So they both like
The
it was
muscles.
like it was like, hey, that's a story to tell for the ages.
Yes.
So Sonia ends up leaving town. Surprise, surprise. And she ends up taking most of the money. She leaves like $10,000 out of the $40,000 for Joe, which is still a lot, but also like he's the one that found it. You know, things are getting back to normal, you know, like ish, you know. Mm-hmm. And Basil and Joe go to the grocery store to pick up some things for Geraldine. Mm-hmm. And who do they find at the grocery store?
Lyndon.
Okay, back to the trauma. I know we talked about trauma a lot in the beginning of this episode, but back to it again. They're literally trying to go about their daily lives, and they see him. Mm-hmm. And what happens?
His dad fucking lost it.
And he did too. He followed his suit.
Yeah.
They attacked him.
Well, because he wasn't supposed to be in the groceries. He was supposed to be in jail.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And also, I think probably not anywhere near the reservation, you would think. But.
You would think, but.
He doesn't give a shit.
Probably doesn't have any actual, like.
I don't think there's any laws or anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there was any negative outcomes for him.
No. Mm-hmm. No!
He wasn't going to get punished for what he did.
It goes back to the tribal versus state law thing.
Yes.
Yep. So, Basil and Joe attack him, but then they stop, and Basil has a mild heart attack.
Well, he's having it while he's attacking him.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yes. Otherwise, he probably would have just kept on beating him up.
Yeah, because Lyndon was able to push him off and run off, and
he ran away like a fucking coward.
Yeah, but not until after he was like basically choked out by Basil and got beamed in the head with some cans of Rotel.
Dude, getting hit in the face
that
with
would
a can.
Hurt.
That would hurt. A tin can full of beans.
The thing was, Lark seemed to be smiling.
Yeah.
If you could smile while being choked and can beaten, he was doing it. Mm-hmm. Like he was excited by our attack.
Mm-hmm.
It was this incident where he had his heart attack and he had to go into the hospital that kind of like snapped his mom out of her.
Yeah, you're correct.
Just like
I didn't realize that until you said that, but you are correct. And then there's a conversation with Joe and Geraldine at a diner where they're like just having burgers, and Geraldine's like, I'm gonna fucking kill him.
Basically, she just decides that she's gonna fucking take care of it.
Mm-hmm. But Joe's like, no, I don't want you to have that burden. I will do it.
He doesn't tell her that.
No, but like as a 13-year-old, I'm like, dang, girl.
He like just resolves within his own mind that he's going to be the one to kill Lyndon.
Because he's like, my mom's already gone through so much. I don't want her to do this. Yes. I will do it.
But he ends up kind of talking to Cappy about it, and they make up this whole entire plan.
Mm-hmm.
They figure out where because they realize that he goes golfing, which is like partly on reservation land. Mm-hmm. And they get information from Linda to kind of figure out when he's goes golfing.
Yep.
Do you guys feel like Linda knew?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
What he was doing?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I thought that too.
Mm-hmm.
And they like bury a rifle up in the hills to where they can overlook the golf course and stuff. And Joe's just determined to do it himself, and he's trying to get Cappy to like help him like basically become a better shot. And Cappy's like, I'll be there, you know, if you can't do it, I'll do it for you, whatever. And he's like, no, I don't want you involved, and like to the point where like you're the one actually pulling the trigger and whatnot. So there's all this time of them practicing and plotting.
And Cappy's like, you're not a good shot.
Yeah.
Like, you need someone else to help you.
And Joe is not a good shot.
No, he's not.
Shit.
Even before that, though, he actually went to Father Travis because he knew that
he was a shot.
Father Travis shot gophers. So he went to him to try to go to like some kind of seminary thing, hoping that he would teach him how to shoot gophers. And it was this whole like religious conversation that Joe was not about. He's like, no,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to teach me how to shoot gophers.
I'm pretty sure that Father Travis knew what he was gunning for.
He did for sure. And that's whenever he was like, okay, Cappy, we gotta take this into our own hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Cappy's like, hey, my dad Doe has a rifle that you should take. And you need to, there's a powwow coming up, so everyone's going to be at the powwow. So why don't you, during the powwow, kind of stage a robbery at our house, take the rifle, and go from there. Now we're at the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe goes to the golf course every single day for like a week, trying to find Lyndon. Waiting for him. And then there's a rainy day where he's like, he probably won't go this day. It's rainy. But he's like, you know what? I'm going to go anyway. He goes. And Lyndon appears.
He does shoot Lyndon, just not dead.
It's very descriptive.
Yeah.
Lark walked forward, and before he could tap it in, I shot the logo over his heart. I hit him someplace else, maybe in the stomach, and he collapsed. There was a loud silence. I lowered the rifle. Lark rolled over on his knees, staggered to his feet, found his balance, and began to scream. The sound was a high squeal, like nothing I'd ever heard. I got the rifle back to my shoulder, reloaded. I was shaking so hard I rested the barrel on a branch, held my breath, and shot again. And then Lark screams out, like, please no, and all this stuff. And then that's when Cappy moves forward and shoots him to kill him. I just feel like it's just like, again, Cappy. Just swooping in, just being the good friend.
Being more grown up than he really needs to be.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like, both of these kids, because they're both kids, do not need to be doing this right now.
No.
But Cappy knew that if Joe did this by himself, he would fuck it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I'm just not going to tell him that I'm going to be here.
Yeah. I bet he was there every single day that
he was. Fucking day.
Because Cappy
every
did tell him that he was there every morning watching him.
Yep.
Joe's parents suspect him of shooting Lyndon.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what happened, but they don't say anything.
And Joe and Cappy also gave themselves a little bit of an alibi with Whitey, and Whitey just was like,
yeah, because right after they shot him, they went to Whitey's, and everyone's listening to like the police scanners, and Whitey knew what had happened. They roll up, they're both, well, I think at first Joe rolls up, Cappy was gone. Joe rolls up, he's unsettled, he's vomiting, and Whitey's like, hey, do you want a sandwich? And then he's like,
he gave him some beers too, didn't he?
Well, because Joe was like, hey, can I have some whiskey? Like, that's what Cappy and Joe wanted, was whiskey.
Well, he gave him a soda at first, and then he started vomiting, so he gave him a ginger ale or ginger beer or something, and then he eventually gave him whiskey after he gave him some sandwiches and stuff,
like, everyone knew what happened, but they were like, hey, I understand.
And he even took their shirts and stuff from them so he could wash them and like remove the gunpowder evidence. Yeah.
I'd wondered how my mother got her spirit to return to her body, and if mine was fleeing now because of what I'd done. And it occurred to me how even pulling trees that day, just months ago, I was in heaven. Unaware, I had known nothing, even as the evil was occurring. I hadn't been touched yet. Thinking finally exhausted me. I turned over away from the light and slept. He knew that what he'd done had changed him forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he feared like it consuming him.
I feel like Cappy and Joe have a lot of, they did that, and I think they don't regret doing that, but also at the same time there's a lot of emotions that go with killing someone. Not that I know from experience, I do not, but like, you have the teenage angst, you got your mom, all that stuff, and then you killed literally your mom's rapist.
Yeah.
So of course, Joe and Cappy are trying to live life, but they're, getting more into drugs and alcohol, and Cappy gets letters from Zelia's parents saying,
Cease and desist.
Basically, yeah, because they had been writing to each other like, do not write to our daughter ever again. She's a Christian child, and you are not. So basically they were like, fuck you, don't write to us anymore. And
they're like, we're even changing residence.
Yeah, and so Cappy was like, fuck you, no. So he was like, hey, Joe, why don't we go on a road trip and go find Zelia?
And actually all the boys end up going.
Yeah.
I don't think that Zach and Angus really knew what was going on for a little bit.
At first it was just supposed to be him and Joe, but then they just were like, hey, let's go. And they didn't tell any of their parents.
And they took off in the truck, didn't they? Or a car.
It was a car that
I think it's
Cappy's
brother's
car,
Randall's car.
Like, kind of tinkered on and stuff.
I think.
It didn't work real well, but it did enough. And they were driving out to Montana, and they were being stupid boys and were drinking. And driving all night, and an accident happened.
The description of the accident actually was, I appreciate the subtlety of it, and I appreciate the details, because you know what's happening, but it's not
graphic.
Too graphic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So basically, they flipped the car a couple times. And Joe is asleep in the back, but he wakes up, I think,
in the car still.
In the car.
Because he had buckled himself in.
And he finds Angus and Zach, but they can't find Cappy.
Right.
But then he eventually finds Cappy. So they all get rushed to the hospital.
They'd taken Cappy someplace else to fix him up for Doe and Randall. The ghost had brought me here. I had seen him in the field as I held Cappy. My ghost had bent over me, backlit by the flashlight. He held cocked up over his shoulder, silver haloed, looking at me with a sour contempt. Which is the police officer at that point.
Yep. So basically, Cappy did not survive the crash, but everyone else did. But also, I want to read the last paragraph of the entire book because I really like it.
It was a really good paragraph.
Actually, I want Sam to read it.
Okay.
Do it, Sam.
Because you have a great voice.
You do.
In all those miles, in all those hours, in all that air rushing by and sky coming at us, blending into the next horizon, then the one after that, in all that time there was nothing to be said. I cannot remember speaking, and I cannot remember my mother or my father speaking. I knew that they knew everything. The sentence was to endure. Nobody shed tears, and there was no anger. My mother or my father drove, gripping the wheel with neutral concentration. I don't remember that they even looked at me or I at them for the shock of that first moment when we all realized we were old. I do remember, though, the familiar sight of the roadside cafe just before we would cross the reservation line. On every one of my childhood trips, that place was always a stop for ice cream, coffee, and a newspaper pie. It was always what my father called the last leg of the journey, but we did not stop this time. We passed over in a sweep of sorrow that would persist into our small forever. We just kept going. And that's really all you can do, right? I mean, you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
As shitty as it is.
I feel like there's a trend with the books that we read where it's a lot of details, and the end is like it's like what the fuck? You know what I mean?
That was
and this book was like that too.
I know.
Like, holy shit, and I'd read this before and then it still shook me.
Well, I read that and I turned the page and I was like, the fuck?
I know.
I was like, I don't like that.
Oh,
I think that was the most eloquent thing you've ever said, Lauren.
That is not a compliment. But you know what I mean? Like, there's so much depth in this book and so many layers. And then the very end, like, before we even recorded, you were like, I'm pissed about the ending. Yeah. You both were like, I'm pissed. And I'm like, me too.
I was, but I'm not either because... Okay, so I was pissed about the ending because Cappy died and I didn't want that to happen.
No.
Even though I think I knew early on in the book, I don't know why, but I think there was like...
Destined for it.
I think there was a thing early in the book that said that Cappy wasn't around anymore.
I think in the first chapter, yeah. Okay, here's my little artsy brain. So Cappy is a metaphor for his childhood, and his childhood died when all that happened. And especially when Cappy died.
I was like, or maybe his childhood really died when Cappy died.
Yeah, because that was his innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think that was his last
bit of innocence.
I think it was his last tie to childhood.
But what would you rate this book?
Oh, gosh. Are we doing out of 5?
Yes.
I would say at least a 4.
4.8.
5. I love this book.
It was a really good book.
So, like I think we said previously, The Roundhouse does not have a movie adaptation, which I knew going into this. But I found some other things to talk about during this section. So there's a podcast called The Pretendians that is through Canada Land. Canada Land is the I think the, what would you call that? The network.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The podcast network that this podcast is through. And it is, quote, exposing wild stories about the fraudsters who pretend to be Indigenous. And it's hosted by 2 different Indigenous people that who are also journalists.
Oh, okay.
Robert Jago and Angel Ellis. So this podcast only has a few episodes, I think 10 or so episodes. They're kind of smaller episodes, 30 to 50 minute episodes. But the main episode that I wanted to focus on was the 5th episode, which I know that we're all friends of Johnny Depp. Or not friends.
Friends, we're friends.
We have all been fans of Johnny Depp, but
not friends.
Unfortunately,
or fortunately,
I want you to know that this episode is about Johnny Depp and the Hollywood phonies. And I really learned a lot listening to this podcast.
I did too.
I really enjoyed it. I wanted to go through a couple Hollywood people that said that they were Indigenous who are not. So the first person, well, actually, first off, I want to say how shitty Hollywood Westerns are, because they really portray Indigenous people in a horrible light. Because, first of all, very stereotypical.
Yeah.
Very racist, because all the Native people are bad people.
They're the villains.
Which is not true. Or they have stereotypes like being drunk or just not good qualities, which is not true. And also, they're usually portrayed, the people that are portraying them are white people. Yeah. They're not even authentic.
No.
Which is fuck you. Okay, so the first person that I wanted to talk about is Iron Eyes Cody, which I think Amber knows about because you listened to the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you know who Iron Eyes Cody is, Sam? So he was a very prevalent actor in all these Hollywood Westerns. He played a lot of Indigenous people, but he was actually Italian.
Well,
and he was also... He lived to be 94 and never owned up to his heritage, even though his sister
tried to out him
on it.
Damn.
She was like, we're not...
Till his death.
Yeah. She's like, we're not Indigenous. We're fucking Italian. And he's like, no.
Bruh.
Yeah. Till his death, he never owned up to... And he would always... be out in public in a headdress, all the
what
dude.
Did Angel say? He was always in his feathers and leathers.
Yeah, yep. And
which kind of made me laugh. Yeah, it kind of made me laugh. I was like,
huh. And they kind of got into the intricacies of when he was growing up, Italians were, there's racism all around.
Right.
Yes.
And he was born in Louisiana, I think, and there's a lot of racism against Italians at the time, but also boy, you know what? I get what you're going for, but you know what? You should have owned up to it at some point in your life.
Yeah.
You lived your entire life and never owned up to that, even though your sister was literally Dude,
Yeah, about that.
we are Italian. We are not native of any sort. So
Right.
he's the first person. Sasheen Littlefeather's the next one. So Marlon Brando was an activist of native stuff. Like he was very like into that kind of like stuff, which good for him. And he kind of had this little deal with Sasheen Littlefeather where he's like, okay, if I win the Best Actor award for The Godfather, I want you to go up in my place and accept the award for me and talk about native rights. So he did win the award, and she went up there and she talked about it, which at the time was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, you know, but
leaps
she
and bounds.
is actually from Mexican background. She is not of Native American background. So there's a whole thing about that and how she's not actually authentic.
But didn't she come out and say that later?
No.
Oh, I thought she was the one who did.
I don't think so. And I remember the host talking about, they're like, it sucked because it's like that was a great like moment. But then it's like it was taken away from us because you're actually not of any tribe.
Yeah, you're still misrepresenting.
And she still never owned up, never admitted.
Which is really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. But the last person that I want to talk about is Johnny Depp.
Oh, no.
Because I know we all have been big fans of him not our entire lives. But I was obsessed with him in high school. I know Amber was, and I think Sam kind of was.
I definitely was.
Yeah.
I had a list going of all the movies he was in and the ones I'd seen.
You can be good at something and still do shitty things.
No, he's a great actor, but also you need to have better judgment on things. And also, Amber Heard, really?
That's a whole different story.
It's a whole other thing.
He's made some bad judgments in the lives. Okay, so he says that his great-great-grandmother was of Cherokee or Cree, but has no native ties to any tribe and has never been recognized by a nation at all. And like we're talking about in the book, like there's literally, you have to have documentation, you have to have blood tests, all these things to actually be recognized by a tribe or any kind of reservation. And also I remember, whenever I was going through the deep dive of, Johnny Depp movies, he definitely was really about his tribal quote unquote background, because his first tattoo was a chief head and all this stuff, and he was in Dead Man, which was all about indigenous background. He did The Brave, that was his directorial debut, where he was literally a native person that, I have not seen that movie in a long ass time, but if I watch it now, I'd probably be like, yeah, the portrayal of native people in that is not great.
You're like,
right.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I have not watched it since I was probably 17.
Well, the version that I got was cut severely.
Well, they're all
so
cut
I have
severely.
No clue what even that movie was about.
Well, because
I
it
don't
was
think I've even
panned.
seen that
It's
you wouldn't have. It was not released in America.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had to get a very shitty
copy.
And I think that's probably the copy that I watched was probably the copy.
No, because you were like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't even the movie."
Well, yeah, you had a different version than I did.
Yes.
Yeah, but I remember watching it when I was younger, and I was like, "Oh, this is artsy. This is cool." But
and I was like, "What the fuck's happening?"
You're like,
I want to rewatch it to see how shitty it is, because the way that the host described it, they're like, they just were not, the way that they talked about and portrayed indigenous people is not great. And I'm like, you know what? You are right. I need to own up to my ignorance.
They called it trauma porn.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole premise of it is he's so poor that he cannot provide for his family. So he goes to this company that will film him getting harmed and killed to give his family a massive amount of money. Yeah. Jesus. And the massive amount of money is probably not even that much. But that's the whole premise of the film. I like this podcast because it put me in my place, where it's like, okay. And leading up to that, I was like, okay, Johnny Depp has not made the best decisions in his life. But this was like, okay, this is another thing where it's like, you can't just follow blindly some famous person, you know?
Right.
And then the final one, the Lone Ranger. He was Tonto in the Lone Ranger, which Tonto literally means fool. Which we also talked about the Lone Ranger in the Lady from the Black Lagoon episode a little bit because it's it's a thing. So of course it went back to like the 40s or 50s, so of course it has racial ties. And but he was Tonto in that, so it adds insult to injury because it's like he's playing Tonto, who is portrayed as a buffoon, and he's also not even an indigenous person. So just listening to them talk about his portrayal as actual indigenous people made me, think twice about things.
Yeah, but I think there's like a difference between just wanting to find out what your family ties are and to like
trying to
understand more about your family versus being like, I am now a member of this tribe. It's like, well, no, you're not, because you don't practice any of those things.
Making it your persona.
Right. That's not your, like, just because that's your tie-in or like that you've had some kind of, ancestry down the line doesn't make you part of that tribe.
They kind of talk about that. There's another episode. There's a bonus episode that I have called Kudos and Kandarians.
I think I heard part of that.
Karendians, where they actually have listener episodes where they're like people actually they were like, hey, listeners, can you call in with like your stories of like how you thought you were of native ties or anything. And it's funny to hear the people, because they do interviews with these people, and a lot of the people are like, oh, it's nice to hear from them, and they're like, oh yeah, I thought I was, but I talking to you and going through all this research, I know I'm not. And then there's other people that are like, oh, I know I am, and it's like it's so interesting to hear the host perspective.
Yes. Compared
to the listener's perspective.
Yeah.
And like, it just gave me a different perspective of everything, It's like, okay, yeah, you could grow up thinking that. And then the point that you realize you're actually not, how are you going to deal with that?
Right.
Are you going to accept that or are you going to fight it?
And I think it's silly to fight it.
Exactly. Like, what are you trying to prove?
Exactly.
And if you're going that route, that means you have some things to deal with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like identity crisis or something.
Yep. And I did hear part of that episode too. I did
hear
that
was a very interesting one. Was. So yeah, check out the Pretendians. I really enjoyed the podcast and I learned a lot. The other thing I wanted to shout out is there is a movie on Netflix called Fry Bread, Face and Me. It was released in 2023. And I think I just saw it, like, I was just like, well, what should I watch? And I just, like, watched it a couple years ago. And I really liked it. It's another coming-of-age story. A little, not as traumatic themes.
It was cute.
But I did really like it. It was very cute. And I think you should check it out. Here is the, what you would call it, the premise. On IMDb says, two adolescent Navajo cousins from different worlds band during a summer herding sheep on their grandmother's ranch in Arizona while learning more about their family's past and themselves. Written, directed, and produced by Billy Luther, who belongs to the Navajo, Hopi, and Laguna Pueblo tribes. So it's directed by a Native person, and it has all Native actors and actresses, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good, wholesome little coming-of-age story.
So. It was, and it wasn't like... Because Ben and I watched it together, and I was like, what did you think of that? And he was like, it was interesting. Nothing really happened. And I was like, yeah, no, nothing really happened, but I liked it.
Happened. Yeah,
they
it wasn't
did,
like a drama thing.
But it wasn't like
like too much. Yeah.
I think I thought that there was going to be like more. There was a couple of things where I was like, oh, and then nothing really happened. I was like, ooh, this is going to mess some things up. This is going to shake things up. And then I was like, never mind.
It's again from the perspective of a 13-year-old boy, basically.
Yeah, and it was really good, but it was kind of just like almost like a day in the life kind of situation. It wasn't nothing super dramatic really happened. There were some moments, but it wasn't anything that was, I didn't get my blood pumping or nothing. I didn't get all freaked out or worried about anything.
Freaked out. It was a good easy watch. I really liked it.
It wasn't a super long movie either.
Also, some of his other movies are also on Netflix, I think. So check
I'd like to see more.
Billy Luther's movies out. So
yeah,
he's a good director. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah. So that was our episode. Do you guys have anything else to say? I think we talked a lot about trauma and a lot of other things.
But now we all need to see a therapist.
I know. This is my therapy.
Yes.
God help me.
I'm ready to go to sleep.
Well, until next time, keep the pages turning and the drinks flowing.
Goodbye.
Audio engineering, logo creation, and social media content was produced by Lauren Ranney with Ranney Film and Video. Stock music tracks have been provided by Adobe Stock. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Liquor&Literature Podcast, where you can dive into more details about the books, authors, and movies we cover. All episodes can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, Google, YouTube, and other streaming services, as well as our website, liquorliteraturepodcast.podbean.com. Until next time, keep the pages turning and the drinks flowing.